What's going on, everybody? Fall in, at attention. You are locked into another episode of the Husker Army Podcast, brought to you by the great folks right over here at Herd at Sports Network and Herd at One. And of course, you get the chance, hop onto Facebook, become a member of the Husker Army Facebook fan page. It's about 39,000 members roughly. It's a great group of people, awesome interactions, great conversations. You won't regret being a part of that. And as always, if you're checking us out on YouTube, please make sure to subscribe, like, hit that bell notification icon. Helps us a lot out in the algorithm. Leave us a comment. I usually get back to it right away as soon as I see them. I love interacting with you guys, and I can't thank you enough for all the support. And then, of course, if you get the chance, hop on over to shop.herdatsports.com. Get yourself some Husker Army Podcast merch. Helps us out there too. Helps us keep the show going. Get yourself a shirt. We got dad trucker hats, the beanies, the stainless steel tumblers, coffee mugs come in 2 different sizes, and obviously the apparel that is not the only colors they come in. They're pretty sweet. Kenny's got the black HAP hat, and I've got the white HAP hat over here on Deadpool's head with a bunch of signatures on it. So I love it. If you get the chance, please, like I said, shop.herdatsports.com. Get yourself some merch. Help us out. We'd love to do this. So let's get right into it. I'm your host, Bryan Knutzen. With me, as always, is former Husker wide receiver and multi-time national champion Kenny Cheatham, a.k.a. KC, or as Willie would like to call him, Cheetos. We're going to hear that a lot throughout this episode. So I gave it up right there. Our guest today, everybody, and I've been waiting so long for this. Kenny can attest to it. We got former Husker true fullback, a term and a position you don't hear much about anymore. We got Willie Miller joining us today. Willie, how are you?
I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on today, Bryan. I appreciate it. It's good to see, like I said, good to see Cheeto's face on here and hear his voice, man. It's been a long time.
Oh
It's been
yeah,
a long time,
Hey, I might start ripping on you in a minute, but hey,
I
let's go
know,
have
I know. Hey, I joined this thing knowing that, hey, that's gonna happen at some point because you can't keep Cheetos confined to, not having a joke. So I appreciate that because
Yeah, man.
people that know me, hey, they know in college, man, even if I was kind of straight laced and kind of try to be laser focused, didn't have much of a sense of humor. So one of the cats I truly appreciate is cracking jokes all the time. I was hearing them was Cheetos, and I giggle a little bit, and I'd be like, okay, yeah. But I'm grateful for that experience because even like today, Cheetos, I think of you, man, as one of the cats that helps me to understand you can have fun in life. You can have fun. Life's got to be fun, right?
Yeah.
Because again, man, that's one of those things I had to learn about. Took life a little too seriously. Way too seriously. So it's good stuff. So I'm grateful to be joining you guys today, and it's just a blessed day to be here. So,
and for those of you, just to give you a little bit more heads up on that, a little more information on that, the guy who was next to me in the locker room was
Willie Miller. Right here. Yes, sir. Willie Miller, right next Cheetos.
Directly next to me. So he got the full clip every other day. So that was Willie. Willie is my guy, man. Willie was and has always been a great dude. Always. We would needle and pick at him. I'd be like, hey man, what kind of muscles you got? Just silly stuff. We kept it light in there, man. Just because you can be committed to what you do and have fun. But the receiver crew grew. Willie could tell he was right with us. So just give someone a little background how the locker room was set up. One wall, it was the quarterbacks and running backs. And then it came into, it was, L shape, U shape, H, whatever you want to say. Then that back wall was the fullbacks, and then it went right to the receivers.
Right to them.
And wing backs, and then all the way into the tight ends. And so he was in the fire pit. And on the other side of us was the DBs. So he was in the smokes. He was in the smoke area. So you had the DBs and receivers right there. So it was just unlimited amounts of throwing tape over the thing, hitting each other. Just a blast, man. So we used to have a blast, man.
Well, before we get into anything real quick, I got to show you, Willie. I got to show everybody else, man. You're enlisted into the Husker Army. There you go. It's just everybody we have on here, you're automatically enlisted. I apologize if you're not one to be in an army, but sorry, man, you're with us now.
It's all good, man. All good. I respect it. So thank you.
All right, Willie. I mean, we were kind of talking about it before we started recording. I mean, I saw your episode on Generation Red a couple years ago. Like I told you, it hit home. The way you talked about your life's journey, the struggles you've been through, fighting addiction, the struggles that you and your current wife have gone through in the past year and a half and come out the other side into the light with a smile on your face somehow. I couldn't wait to have you on here because that story, it resonated with me so much. I've been very public and open about the addiction I fought with opioids a long time ago. It probably would have killed me had I not seeked a little bit of help. And if not for my loving wife being right by my side, I would probably be gone. I wouldn't be here today. And now I have totally turned everything 180 around. I mean, I go to the gym 5-6 days a week for 3 hours. That's my mental therapy, not physical, it's mental. And Willie, thank you for sharing everything you shared on there. And for anybody that hasn't seen that episode, I mean, let's might as well go right into it. Let's hear about you. Let's hear about where it all started as far as recruitment process, what you went through at your time here, your time after graduation. I mean, stage is yours, Willie. Let's hear your story, man.
All right. Well, it's been, like you said, it's been one heck of a journey. And it's been a journey indeed. And along the way, I can tell you a lot of things I did not see. And thank you for your compliment as far as saying having gone through things and then seeing what with a smile on the face and things like that. Because I can tell you, you definitely see the tears, you know what I mean? But I have no problem sharing my tears with you today. Where I used to have a problem with that. You wouldn't see me cry. Now you'll see me cry because I don't care. I've learned that emotions, there is a reason why we have feelings and emotions, and there's a reason why they need to be acknowledged. And for me personally, if I can acknowledge those things, feel those things, understand those things today, I can actually have a relationship with people. I can communicate. You know, we always don't have to agree on every single thing, but we can communicate with one another respectfully and have a relationship that way, right? But if I can't process those feelings, those emotions, those things, all I'm gonna be trying to do is lash out at you or be upset. It's gonna be silly, right? But that's where I was growing up, being younger, because you weren't supposed to have feelings. You weren't supposed to do those things as a man. You weren't supposed to, get into that kind of stuff. So I can just share that the whole thing of what the world had told me about trying to be a man or act like a man, that broke me. It didn't work for me. It didn't work for me, or it did until it didn't, if that makes any sense, right? So, like you said, it's been one heck of a journey, and I can tell you over the last couple of years, um, a lot of it didn't make any sense to me. And over the last couple of years, as I've just kind of dived more so into self, and done a lot of reflection, and also stopped with the blame game, stopped with pointing fingers and looking outward and started looking inward. That was the biggest thing for me, was to truly look inside. Stop asking the question, why did this happen? Because I can tell you, when I got in trouble, and again, we'll go through when we set up whatever, but when I got in trouble, the question was why? Why did this happen? And for so long, I was lost because I was asking the wrong question. It wasn't why did this happen? It was how? How did this happen? And then looking through that, thinking through it, seeing my behavior, seeing my actions, seeing my thought processes, that answered the okay, how did this happen? Now that I understood how this happened, then I could go to work on fixing that and making myself a better person so I don't repeat how that happened. Right. So a lot of this has truly been that kind of a journey, where I've had to truly go back and learn a lot of things that at one time period in my life, I had it. It was this. It happened this way, and then it kind of, things have kind of like I've been able to reflect and see the big picture of it. So I go on to say, man, that hey, I'm a cat that's from Bellevue, Nebraska. We got here in Bellevue at first grade. My dad was in the Air Force, and I went to Fort Creek Elementary School, that kind of stuff, and it's just been. I love being here in Nebraska. That's my thing. I'm still live here today. I'm in Papillion, so it's good stuff. But I can share that getting into football. Here's something funny. I've shared this before. Like I didn't really want to play football, but now I know it on a whole new level. Right, going through life, kind of working with some therapists, diving into some things, and I can share with you. There was an experience that I had that as a child I didn't understand it, but it set up my framework for a lot of my broken thinking. And when I share this, I'm just sharing what happened. So I can tell you that in the first grade, I'm sitting there with my classmates and everything else. And, I'm just a silly kid. I actually played at this point, It's like I was actually joyful. I played around. I had jokes, right? I was a little bit of a class clown, believe it or not. But I tell you what, man, I tell you what, our librarian, she brought a book one day to read to the class. Okay. And I'm just going to tell you this much. I'm the only kid that looks like me in my class. This librarian brings out this book and it's called Willie the Wimp. And there's a monkey on it. Okay.
Oh,
So she ends up, and we have this thing. And so it's Willie the Wimp. And I'm going to tell you what, man, that moment in my life, something happened, something that I can't explain. It was something that disconnected me from my classmates in a sense because it made me feel like maybe I was different. And it really confused me because I was having so much fun and things were jokes and games till all of a sudden I was the joking game all of a sudden,
yeah.
right? And so that's kind of how the journey kind of began in a sense where there was a moment, a hurtful moment that lasted. And I can tell you that yes, did I have moments of thinking about that I didn't like? Sure, sure, sure. But I didn't know how to process that. I didn't know how to think about that, and I didn't know the impact it had. Like I know the impact today from the hard work, right? So I know like that's where it began. Like again, because I'm playing little league football, I'm out there. Hey, I didn't want to hit nobody. I'm just like I'm here. I'm just happy to be here. I'm in my pads. My mom's happy that I'm in my pads. I'm like I'm cool with this. Other cats,
Knowing how you were later on, I'm surprised you didn't like hitting somebody then.
see, there you go. So I got some cats. They can tell you about me and Lily. They tell you, Willie, nope. Hey, we had jokes with Willie because I'm 7 years old playing with the 9 and 10-year-olds because the weight limit is 105 and I'm 105 at 7 years old, and I'm one of the fastest kids, but I'm 105. So therefore, here I am with 9 and 10-year-olds. They playing with me. They got the Milky Wilkie. They got the jokes. I'm crying every doggone day. Got these cats. I mean, it was something. It was something. But then, hey, when I went and talked to my mom's was like, hey, and this is what I love about my moms and my pops, man. Again, like I said, Kenny, we can dive more into that one, Cheetos. But my dad, having retired as a major in the military after being born in 1943 in Mississippi, getting to Tuskegee University, being the first one to get through grade school, middle school, and got to college. My mom, same on her side, being a nurse. They met at Tuskegee University. So I mean, having those two, man, it was just, was amazing. And so she told me, she's like, hey, Junior, that's my family name. So Junior, you done started this sport. You're going to finish it. Ooh, like, okay. All right, Mom. So I'm crying every day, but we got through it, and it's like through that first year, things didn't click all of a sudden where all of a sudden, like, I love the sport and things were great. No, it was just like, okay, we got through it that year. So we did it again. And I can tell you that something did click along the way that, yes, all of a sudden, man, like that little experience from the thing with the librarian that was weird, the other little things from any kid that messed with you in class or had jokes about you or whatever, you see them on the field. Hey, that's when things were okay. It was okay on the field, right? And it's like, that's what I use that for the rest of my time really of playing was that's where I could take out. Exactly. That would be my outlet. And it's like, that is when I became good at the game is when I truly, and this is the part I don't like, is I changed from being a person that truly loved everyone else. Let me take that back. I didn't change from that, but I had to protect that. I couldn't allow you to know how much I cared. Because if you knew how much I cared, then you could hurt me. So I didn't want you to be able to hurt me. So I got to pretend like I don't care. Okay. And put on that facade, which in a sense breaks you, after a while. It breaks you after a while. So it was good stuff, man. I got to doing the thing. I was playing the game and I was doing well in it, everything else. I got into a accident with a buddy of mine right before our season started, our junior year. So after my sophomore year playing, I was one of the top 10 rushers in the state, with the guys like Amon Green. And there's another cat that he shared the backfield with. I can't remember that guy's name, but all the top rushers in our state, we had some good freaking players. And here I was, as one of those top 10 guys rushing just from the fullback spot. So before my sophomore or my junior year, and keep in mind, like I said, there was a time frame where, I would focus in and somebody did something crappy. I'd try and, I fight a little bit back in the day. Okay. Me and the cats, we had a little bit of fighting that we do, but we do it against guys that were picking on handicapped kids. Multiple guys jumping one guy. Like those are circumstances that we didn't play with. We were like, nope. And so I was kind of silly. Okay, I was kind of silly. So, anyways, we had one of those nights we were out, we were racing one of our buddies, and at the end of the day, he loses my my guy that I'm riding with loses control of his car, slides. We end up hitting this. We slide for a while because he's going over 100 miles an hour. We're on a back road. We get to this dirt part that's pretty flat, and we're just sliding. We hit one of these little electrical boxes, and we start to roll. Okay, and I fly out the car window, side window. I hit this pine tree. Okay, I know it's hard, but the car hits, bounces up over me. I literally see it go up over me, and it lands on the side about 5 yards away from me. And then I see my buddy crawl up out the top of the car. Now I'm thinking I died because this is during that time period where Ghost, that movie Ghost, had come out. When somebody died, they got thrown out their body, right? So I'm like, okay, yep, we just had this happen with the car. I'm laying there, and I'm knowing, okay, yep, I done got after some cats that were doing something. I'm not seeing any bright lights. I'm not hearing my friends yet. So I'm starting to look like, oh man, because that's where the demons started coming out. You were seeing that movie, that's the darkness started happening. So I'm looking around, and so my friends come around, Willie, you okay? I'm like, whoo. I'm like, you can see me? I'm like, oh, thank goodness. Right. So I was like, I was still alive. I made it through the situation, but my groins were all messed up from getting tossed in the air, and like my legs were just whipped like crazy. But nothing was broken, nothing required any stitches. Truly a blessing. Right. And the doctor told
almost
my mom,
a miracle.
100% it was. 100%. My doctor, the doctor told my mom he had never ever seen a kid. Number one, I was like 15 years old because I was young. When I graduated, heck, I was 17, didn't turn 18 till I got down there in September. So
yeah, I was the same way. I was in August.
Okay, so you're an August baby. So you August like me in September. Okay. See? Okay. All right. So you understand the dynamics of that. That makes sense. But now I get it, Cheetos. Now.
Yeah, that's why. Hey, if you ever pay attention to the older ones, pay attention to the older. Watch them call me Young Cheetos. You'll start laughing. That's why.
Okay,
they're like, you're 17. I'm like, yeah. You should be in high school another year. I was like, no, that means you're pretty slow if you're in high school another year at that age. But yeah.
Yep. Okay. So you got it. All right, you got it. So yeah. So the doctor told my mom he had never seen a 15-year-old like put together, built like that. Truly, because I was already like 220, and I was solid.
God.
Yeah, solid. I mean, heck, my sophomore year, I had won the sophomore 100, the sophomore 200, and I won the shot put. There was one of those events that was like the sophomore regional thing. So I mean, I was running. My speed was on point at that time and close to 220. But after the accident, like I said, speed went down. Man, I couldn't run. That junior year, I barely played really. Towards the end, I got in some games, tried to do something. But my point from that was all these teams were sending letters, all this interest. I had Colorado, I had Nebraska, I had Iowa State, I had Iowa, I had Kansas State. I had places, my dad's from down south. We had Auburn coming in, Mississippi State coming in. I mean, all these letters. And after that accident and barely any yards that junior year, boom, crickets. So, I took that personally as a guy that before my freshman year of high school, I started working out that summer. And then once school started, I work out in the morning before school. I'd have weightlifting as part of the day. I work out then. We'd have football practice. Half the time I do stuff after practice. That's how I was in high school. That's why I was built the way I was in high school. Because people had jokes thinking, whatever. It's like, no, I had all my linemen in my linemen's, one of them had a Suzu little pickup truck. All of them would get in the back. There was a harness they put on the front. And at Bellevue West, it wasn't a big incline at all, but it's a slight little incline. I put this harness on with all my linemen in the back, and I'd run up that hill with it. You know what I mean? And pull them. And those are the type of training things that I would do. So I trained hard. So again, all these teams being gone, no communication, it was personal for me. The one team that kept in contact was Nebraska. The one person was Solich. Okay. So I go down to Nebraska's camp right before my senior year just because they also admitted they needed to see some eyes on me. They didn't know what can I do. I went down there and things went well. Everything went well, and I got into the season. We started the season off, and it's like, I just started at the regular fullback spot. We're 2-3 games into the season. I got 100 yards average rushing per game. And this is where things change a little bit. Two things happened. One, I'll admit, there's one time I ran in high school, man, where I did not try to hurt this person at the end. I purposely had a little defender that for once I decided I'm not going to crush this guy. He's small and I'm about to cross the goal line. There's no need to punish him because I don't know. That entered my brain. Usually I'm trying to punish anybody. If you put the ball in my hand in high school, I want to run you over like a Mike Rozier. I want to stomp on you. I want to like take your name, and I want you ever think you ever want to hit me again, right? Because that's the whole point. Because look, running backs don't usually do that to people. And when you do, you mess them up. You mess them up. So that's what I like. Okay. So with this little DB, I'm like, okay, yep. Just kind of casually walk across, and he hits me. Boom. It knocked my shoulder out, man.
That's
it
where
knocked my
your
shoulder out.
That's
Boom.
where your shoulder
That's
problem
where my shoulder
came
problem
from.
began. Yep. And boom, out the thing popped, and then it clicked back in. Okay. And from that point on, man, I had to wear the Sully brace the rest of my senior year and everything else. And on top of it, check this out. I'm out basically for about a week. We come back, we do the next game. I get close to my 100 yards. Then the tailback on our team gets kicked off the team. And I'm like, I go straight to my coach. He got caught smoking weed, something like that in the school, got kicked off the team. I go straight to the coach and say, hey, because he said, he's like, man, well, I guess we'll put in so-and-so. I said, Coach, I've never asked you for anything. I'm going to ask you for this. He's like, well, what you got, Willie? I said, can we go single back? Because every once in a while we do a single back thing, like on the plays where I'd be the single back there, and we do these counters. It was counter 6, counter 7 that we do. I loved it. It was, and you got to understand too, one of my linemen was only about 155 pounds. Little Asian guy, he was 5'4". My biggest lineman was 250, and here I am about 230. Okay, so I'm getting hit in the backfield a lot already. So I'm like, let's just go single back, right? And Coach Feynman was an offensive-minded genius. I mean, he did that up in the league. I mean, he actually did that in college, and I think he beat Nebraska being at one of the universities. Can't remember where he was at. But yeah, so he's an offensive-minded genius. And so he goes, well, Willie, I tell you what, and he passed away, so rest in peace, Coach. Appreciate you, man. Where he said, you worked your butt off, Willie. You've never asked me for something. He said, absolutely, we can do that. But it's going to be an audition. Because he's like, I got to see if you can carry the ball close 25, 30 times a game and what you can do. I said, okay. I said, all right. So that game, man, we went against Omaha South. And they weren't, a great team at all or anything like that. So it's just an okay average team. And we weren't a great team either. I mean, Bellevue West started winning games when I was left Bellevue West. Okay. It's like before that, they had the Cats where, Strickland and Cluster, they had done their thing. And then, I came along and we did our thing. But we were 5-5, right? Got to one playoff game. And that was a big deal. So it's like, yeah, we weren't kind of destroying teams. So my point is it was a little bit more equal than what you might think at that moment. And so I don't know, it was something crazy where I had about 27 rushing attempts for like 260 something yards and like 4 or 5 touchdowns, right? 4 or 5 touchdowns. So that's where it began. And so after that is when Coach said to me, he goes, okay, Willie, you got it. From that point on, man, we went single back. I averaged close to 225, 230 yards a game. I ended up leading the state in rushing. At game 7, I had exactly 100 rushing attempts for 1,000 yards. So I was averaging 10 yards a carry. Matter of fact, Coach Solich, the game he came to, we played against Bryan because it was the number 2 running backs in the state, myself and this kid from Bryan. I had 305 yards or something. The other kid had like 260. I mean, it was just a fireworks thing and back and forth throughout the night.
No defense.
No defense on that one. No defense. Defense wasn't winning no championship that night. I mean, hey, and that's how we roll. We had no defense, But our offense, and hey, go back and check out Bellevue West offense, 1996. We led the state. This was even with Krause doing this thing over Miller North and them rolling with their line.
Yeah.
Now, Krause gets me at total yards at the very end after he gets in his playoff games, But regular season, I led the state in rushing. The regular season, our team led the state in offense, passing yards. We had number 1 wide receiver as far as the yards he got, and Paul Ransom. I mean, we had a heck of an offense. It was it was people came and watched us because we were putting up points. I was getting about 230, 240 every game. It was special. It was special. And that's when all the offers came. That's when all the offers came, man, and everybody. And I tell you what, I still remember Notre Dame calling because I used to watch Notre Dame. I'm sorry, folks. Yes, I grew up here in Nebraska. I grew up in Bellevue. Yes. But no, I didn't watch Nebraska. I'm sorry. I didn't. I'm always be honest. I'm going to tell the truth. That's what I do. And so, no, I didn't watch Nebraska a whole lot. I saw a couple games. But I was watching Jerome Bettis and Reggie Brooks at Notre Dame. I was watching them every weekend, man. I was watching them cats. That big old running back with some feet like Bettis. Oh, I love watching that,
The
and
bus.
so, yeah. So it's like, so they gave a call, and it was like, here's the thing on that call, and this is the mind of a high school kid, is that I was so happy to hear from them, and them basically giving me an offer. I'm just kind of like, man, cool, I'm listening. And then the next thing out of his mouth, and again, this is back to high school kid mentality, which is silly, because as a grown man, you don't think this way, but it's at that moment he says, but what do you think about the running back that's over at XYZ school? And that was all it took. That was all it took to hear somebody ask about like another player that basically plays at your position. It's like, I think I had said at the time, I don't really know, but maybe you should give him a call. And actually, you have an offer that you can give him if you like, because I'm gonna be going to Nebraska. And that's kind of how that went down, man, where it was just like, it just was that moment, and what I loved was I love Solis, man. Solis' way that he got down with running backs and what he did, I was told if I went to Nebraska, I was going to have to be a blocking mess of a fullback. Like there was going to be zero opportunity for me to mess up, basically, or I was going to have to prove that I was the best. And I remember Odious Lee told me as one of my coaches in high school, he said to me, Willie, if you decide, you're going to have to know that you're going to go down there, you're going to start. And Odious said this to me because Odious knows Willie doesn't block. Okay, Willie does not block. In high school, you couldn't pay me to block. But I looked at Odious, when we had this conversation, I said to him, I go, you know what? And this was one of the most serious conversations we ever had, was the fact that I was like, you know what, coach? I'm tired of losing. I'm like, we don't, because Odious and I would work out every single morning at like 4:30, in the morning. And he knew how hard I work out. Some of the cats, they would never work out. They go to the game, they play the game, they go party after the game, whatever, and they're just happy. And I'm just like, man, we lost.
Yeah.
So, so like I said, so when Odious and I had that conversation, I said to him, I said, okay, I'm gonna do something, man, I ain't ever think I could do. And but I first asked the question because I didn't have the faith in myself to be able to do it. I really didn't. Because I was like, I don't want to do that. I do not want to run as fast as I can, hit that guy, helmet to helmet, face mask to face mask. Without the ball in my hands, it just didn't compute. It didn't make sense.
Like Ram Man. Like you were Ram Man or something, huh?
Like you were, yeah. It's just like, literally. Just, and we're going to do that 15, 20 times a game. Absolutely. Yep. Sign me up. No. So I asked Solis. I asked Solis, because he was like, Willie, here's the thing. And he told me, he said, I love this about your running style. You get down so low. He's like, as big as you are, that pad level can get low. And that's what Solis like. Solis loved that pad level. He loved all those basic non-teaching fundamental things that a person first needed to have, like an Amon Green. I mean, I'm not that level, but like an Amon Green or LP, they had that special thing. You know what I mean? But then here comes Solich. And then Solis takes that thing they already got with some of that balance, that quickness, that everything else, and he fine tunes it to the
He's
right
a mean
cutting.
little dude. People forget because Solis is a mean little dude.
He's a mean little dude. Matter of fact, let's get to one of those mean moments. In fact, because we'll jump all over the place a little bit on that too, right?
Yeah, that dude loves contact. He loves. If you weren't physical as a running back for him, you were not going to play.
And I've met Solich. He's no taller than me. I'm 5'6", guys.
Yeah, he was pad level, balance, get low, high and tight. I'm telling you, man.
And he's intense. And he's intense. And you feel it, right? Because that's the thing when somebody talks to you about something that they know, and they know by their intensity, right? And by their words of it. You just like, it just makes sense. So with him, yeah, he's want to make sure your pad level is right. He's want to make sure, okay, you're gonna cut just right. I mean, everything has got to be right with techniques, or else you ain't playing with Solich.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, when I first got down there in Lincoln, one thing I never used in my life was supplements. I didn't need them, right? So I would crack open those raw eggs, right, and drink raw eggs like Rocky during high school, things like that. When I got down to Lincoln, okay, after I went ahead and decided, yep, going to Lincoln, going to be with Solich, going to be with Osborne. Solich, they had me on that doggone creatine, all that crap Dave and them had. Remember that Cheetos?
Yeah.
Remember they had all that junk they had us taking. And
Well, we were cramping up. We were cramping up,
guys, in the shower, you think you're going to have
up.
Yeah, it was interesting. But that stuff put 20 pounds of straight fat on me, man. 20 pounds straight to my gut. Straight to my gut, man. I was not eating silly stuff of pizzas, nothing. It went straight to my gut. So I tell you what, one day I'm going over the bag drills, man, and and I'm already embarrassed self-consciously. Like in my head, I feel my belly jiggling, man. You know when your body ain't right. So I'm like, here comes Solich. Willie. Oh, Willie. What is this, Willie? He comes up. I'm in the middle of bags. He stops drills. Stop. Willie comes up and he just grabs on my belly. What is this, Willie? Just looking up at me. What is this, Willie? What is this? Coach, because you can't give no excuse to a coach, but I told him, I said, look, coach, here's my thing. I don't do supplements. You guys got us taking this creatine crap.
Yep.
You got other protein crap you putting in us. I said, you're putting stuff in my stuff. I need it to be gone because this is what it's doing. I don't know. I'm not doing anything different.
Yeah.
So it's close. All right, Willie, you've always been honest. Yep, that okay. Dave, good Dave Ellis. Well, no more for Willie, and so that was cool, man. I appreciate that about Solich because right after that, man, I didn't have none of that stuff going to me, and I was fine.
For people who don't know, that year is the year they start putting us on that creatine in '95, and it was something. I went from people have heard me tell the story. I went from about 190 in spring ball. I was 245.
Whoa!
I was 245 pounds, and and I was like, hey man, I don't know what y'all trying to do, because we had to take it before workout and after workout. I remember they had it in those cups, Willie, and we had to go in there and get it out of thing, the little sipping cups.
Yep.
And I'll never forget. We were at practice, and I'm standing there, and Coach Osborne looks at me and he says, "Skinny." I said, "Yeah, Coach." He said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Hey, man, they the one in there got me squatting and lifting all that stuff. I don't know what they got me doing." And he did the same thing. He was like, "Oh, nah, I'm going to talk to them." So I was 245. I was huge.
Wow.
Man.
All muscle, 245. And he was like, and I was working out with LP, Clinton, and Dame. So I'm in there with running back.
God.
So, they really like, hey, no, don't go light on that. Go heavier. So I'm big as a house. And T.O. cut that out, man. I was like, you got me taking 10 before, 10, whatever before, and 5 after. Man, come on. But so what he said is true. It bulked a lot of us up. And then going into that camp, we had a lot of guys cramping up, dehydrating.
Creatine's intense.
Yeah.
I mean, I use pre-workout before I go to the gym, but I make sure it does not have creatine in it.
Yeah, we had both. And we took it before and after.
Yeah. And we had a lot of it. It wasn't like this. Yeah, it was a lot.
Remember the speech they gave us? It's like Dave was like, yeah, it's like you get this amount of nutrient burgers or something, the food in your body, the system, without eating the meal, all the bad stuff. And we were sitting there, so we taking creatine and Cytomax, the drink, the recovery drink, the green, the red, the purple. I can smell it now. Yeah, I'm like, oh God. So yeah, man. Yeah, so what Willie's saying is true. It's absolutely true.
Yeah. That's stuff.
I think Willie can taste it and smell it again.
I can. That's why I'm sitting there going, man, that stuff. Again, it's coming from a cat that like I said, I just do my raw eggs. So if I need to put it down, I'll put it down. But I'm like, I do supplements today, but hey, it's different. It's different.
Right.
But yeah. So with Solich, like I said, he did that, but he fixed it. Everything was good after that point, and just like Cheetos talked about, And it's like, I part putting in the work down there. And it's like one of my things that I'm always wanting to do when I get to a spot is I want to learn. And I want to learn from the best, And so when I got down there, one of the first things I did was I went right up to Mac with Mac and Vic, and I was kind of like, hey, Joe. I was like, Joe, with him and Legate, I was like, hey, can y'all teach me? Because hey, he's a starter. I want to learn from the best. And Joe kind of looked at me, he's like, yeah, no, I'm not gonna do that. Like him and the game were both like, yeah, that's not how that works. So I was like, oh, okay. Well, I just thought, hey, you ask, you receive, it is what it is. So I was like, okay, that's fine. But and like I said, we was cool from that moment on. It's fine and Danny. But here's the thing. And I tell him today, like, hey, Joe may not have wanted to talk to me about what he did, but it's like I watched him. I watched him because he was the best at his craft. When he came to running the ball from the fullback spot, I don't think you found a fullback that did it better truly than what he did. And it was like, what did he do though? He had certain cutback lanes he looked for. He'd do a quick read. So what did I do? Again, I'm not saying I'm some Joe level or whatever. I'm just Willie, man. I'm just my own person. But I'm gonna say this much: as I saw what he was doing, I read that on that film, and that's why I watched his film. I watched Joel, man, big time when it came to any of the running of any track play. And then what I really love watching Joel do, because, man, it was a thing of beauty. It's his cut blocks when it came to the option game. Oh, Joel will come around there, man, and his level of that stuff and just the way he executed was beautiful. Beautiful. So like I said, so I watch him every day. But the other person I watched Schlesinger's film. So even though Schlesinger I had never met, but I had seen his film. And so I went back and I started watching Schlesinger's practice film because I had seen how he did some of the linebackers in games. And I was like, I got to learn that technique.
That dude was a monster. Dude was a monster.
Yeah. Man, the way he bring them fists underneath that chin when he's hitting somebody else, when it's in face mask, bringing that chin or those fists. I mean, hey, like I said, I done given a lot of respect to Joe. Okay, so that's Joe's love, his respect, but he couldn't hang with a Schuster on something like that. He didn't bring in the hole like that. So I wanted to be able to bring it in the hole with a big old 250-pound linebacker coming at you. You want to be able to stone him because again, as Kenny said, I was going to have the opportunity to get put on my back in an ISO play and think I'm gonna keep playing. Again, old school rules didn't play that way. You go and you get hit by a linebacker and your legs go in the air. Oh, you're out. You're out. Like, no, that ain't gonna happen. So it's like my goal was, again, once I got down there, especially once I started, people say, how did you play? I played terrified, man. I played terrified and scared of getting embarrassed. I had to make sure that every time I went and hit a linebacker that somebody like Cheeto, who had jokes, meaning, was going to have those jokes.
We would go see it. Right? We would go see it.
And when you walk into that video room, somebody's going to have it on there and they'll be playing it. Hey, so as you walk in, they're going to look at you. So it's like, yeah, my goal was to never have a Monday of walking in there and getting knocked on your back and having to hear it.
Hey, the universal laugh. I don't know how it happened, but sometimes we would all be watching films in our separate rooms. And maybe because it was getting close to release us to get ready to go to practice. And in every room, you would hear eruptions when something happened. Everybody just busted out laughing. They were like, they must have got to that part. It's like,
well, you saw it. Because there's always something you go see, man. And if you're the person that it's about, you just sit there dreading. You're like, oh man, come on, not today, please.
Yeah, because
you're all teammates, but they can't wait to point out, oh, hey.
Yeah.
Hey, be like, hey man, we saw that.
Ooh, yeah. So that was what really drove me, man. And I want to hit on one thing too from during that time, because I can say that this is something else that hit me that I hadn't talked about that's important for me to share because it resonated again. And I think it's one of those things that reminded me of the situation with that kindergarten teacher. Okay. Or with that librarian that came in during the first grade. And I share this again. We have the most wonderful and amazing fans in this state. We truly do. We always have. They show up. We struggled the last 20 years. They still show up, turn up. That place is filled every doggone Saturday. So hats off to the fans, right? The people. So my challenge that I had personally for me, okay, in my Nebraska, this is going to be my Nebraska football angry moment of frustration type of deal, was that once I did become the starter down there, okay, once I became the starter, I did get a couple pieces of mail, okay, because this is back in the day when nobody checked your mail. Okay, no one checked your mail. You got your mail out your locker, you opened your own mail. Okay, and I'm going to say the words that were on this piece of message, on this mail. And it said, you shouldn't be playing our position, nigger. That was one of the pieces of mail I got. And I can tell you that I got another 2 or 3 similar to that. And I'm going to tell you something that broke me. I'm going to tell you something. As a man who grew up in Bellevue, Nebraska, as a man that's lived his life in Nebraska, as a man that was proud as hell to be the starting fullback for Nebraska, for me to get a piece of mail that had somebody say something like that, it questioned my everything. It went me back. It put me right back to when I was as a little kid, where I was confused. I don't understand. Like that to me, again,
Didn't make sense. It didn't make sense.
It made zero sense.
And it shows, and I hate to cut you off, but it shows
please.
Nastiness of some people to where they can't get past the racial stuff. Or why, I don't know. And I always explain this to other individuals that are non-African Americans, to the majority from the minority. My experience with that, I didn't grow up in a household or were around people where ethnicity was spoken about. That's just so-and-so. That's just so-and-so. That's just so-and-so. My experience with racism was when we played, let's say in Mesa, the Mesa teams, the North Phoenix teams at the time, the Scottsdale teams at the time here in Arizona. And they would call us the N-word and wetbacks. And we're like, what? So for a lot of people that don't understand, especially when you're dealing with African Americans, our experience with racism are learned experience. Something traumatic literally happened to us to make us say, oh, this is the stuff we heard about. Now you think about our generation, you think about generation before, that was all the time. People forget that that's the generation before me when civil rights was 64. That's not that long ago, people. So I keep emphasizing that, people. That's the 10-year generation before me. My dad went to a segregated school. My mom. I mean, people need to understand that. Those people are still alive. But that experience, because I got one of those letters, a couple of them before. I looked at it, whatever. It was just, I'm like, this is an ignorant, dumb person. I'm not going to give whoever this is my energy. Right. Boom. Because we used to get our letters. They would give them, they'd come to the stadium, they put it in your locker. Now you would get some great people who send you spiritual stuff, heard some great thank you and stuff, and those were the best.
The best.
Because there's people that generally cared about you and hey, God's looking out for you. We wish you the best and you stay safe. I'm going to pray for you and blah, 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 and this and that. And those fill your heart. But you got some ignorant stuff. Like Willie said, I know exactly what he's talking about. And it's disturbing and it's disgusting because it's like, I'm good enough to play and cheer and bring money and all of that. But then you this is what you think of me outside. If you saw me outside of here, would you even know it's me? Or would you be putting me in the category to judge me as something that I'm not? So I get it, bro. Go ahead.
Willie, just real quick, man, from a fan standpoint, I want to apologize for that because there's absolutely no room for anything like that, not only in just sports, but in life, period. For one, that's a word that should never be uttered by anybody, especially anybody with my damn skin color. And I'm not going to lie. What you guys have just told me, I haven't felt this pissed off in a long time. That hurts. That they, like you said, Kenny, they cheer for you when you're playing. But what do they really think about you?
And you're doing this to kids.
Yes. You're doing this to kids. That's the thing. That's the thing is you're not doing it to Cheetos today. How old are you right now, Cheetos?
48, brother. 48.
So here Cheetos at 48. Here I am at 46. We're 46 and 48-year-old men sitting here today that, hey, we hear that. That's a different kind of conversation or whatever. But again, as an 18-year-old, 17-year-old kid, getting that when you got 90,000 folks cheering and you get this mail that says this to you, and thank you. I don't mind that you cut me off, Cheetos, because I'm grateful that you actually stepped in for a moment because I didn't know anybody else really had received that down there because no one talks about that because that's the problem. We don't talk about those kinds of things, just like we don't talk about feelings and whatnot. So I'm grateful that this is the moment that, so that happened. And it's unfortunate.
And Willie, is just real quick. I think it's a lot of jealousy, personally, from people with my skin color. Because look, think about this. Black guys look awesome bald. You want to know what white guys look like bald? Look like they're part of a certain non-political party.
There's some cats they can rock it though. There's some, I got a twin or two that they kick it, they cool, and they just the vanilla version, I'm the chocolate version, and it's all good, and we got no problem with it, and we just we enjoy it, and folks, it's all good. So I hear what you're saying, Bryan. Grateful for that, but don't. Again, at the end of the day, there's going to be ignorance, and there's nothing you can do about ignorance, and that's one of the things that I've had to learn too about life. Right? That's that whole portion of life is. Okay, you're gonna run into that. You're gonna run into people. How do you handle that? How do you behave? What is your behavior? And what happened in the past from those kind of situations is that then it would dictate my behavior because I'd allow my emotions to get the best of me. Okay, and even with that situation of that happening down in Lincoln, from that point on, I can let you know this. When it came to doing interviews, when it came for interviews for my senior year, I told the university, I'm done. I will give 0 interviews.
Good.
I was done. I checked out. I was done. I pretty much just put my head down and just did my time at that point. Okay. Because
good point.
There was no processing it. There was no dealing with it at that point. There was no having a discussion. They had certain resources for us down there as players that I utilized. Right. But I think they have a lot more today, which they do need today, given how easy social media is to say silly things to these 17, 18, 19-year-old
direct
kids.
access.
Direct access. So I'm grateful I don't have that, right? And that we played with that kind of stuff because that'd be too much. The kids who don't even touch it, that's where I'd be. I couldn't turn it on, couldn't touch it. I mean, because that's how I did in Lincoln. I didn't turn on the TV.
Right. Yeah. People. Is that mine? It's probably Willie's.
Am
I a little slow?
No, you're good. I mean, there's a little bit of lag, but it's no big deal.
Okay.
Me coming through perfectly clear.
Willie, you still there? Or did he freeze up?
It looks a little frozen.
Oh, okay.
That's all right though.
But yeah, man, just why he's rebooting.
Yeah.
People need to understand. Like, I never did interviews. I never ever did interviews.
That's
you look
true.
back,
growing up, man, I don't remember you doing any.
I didn't talk. I would say what I say. It took maybe 2 or 3 interviews that I did early on, and then I heard some little rumbles, and then I said, "Oh, I'm not going to talk anymore for what?" So I think my first interview. Yeah, I think my first interview I did, or even after a game press thing, was after years, was the K-State interview when we played in K-State in '98, the Crouch face mask game.
Oh, yeah.
They were talking about the catch and all of that, and I was like, I'm on scholarship to catch the football.
Yeah.
And go to school. So it's in the area. I'm gonna catch it. You know what I mean? You know me, I'm gonna say the truth. So
yeah.
But yeah, it's just unfortunate, man, that Willie had to deal with that. There's a lot of things that we never really say. Is that better? Is it going? If I have
no, you're totally
okay.
good.
I was gonna say I'll stop my camera for a minute if I have to cut the lag off.
Oh no.
But
I'm not worried about it. Shit.
Yeah, man.
There's absolutely no room for any of that shit, period, anywhere. Like I said, not just in sports, but in life itself.
In life. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Man, I got to admit, when I hear somebody of my color use that word, dude, it's
I don't like anybody.
Man, I agree, but you guys have way more right to use it than anyone.
It just hits you at a different feeling. Yeah. You're like, oh my God.
And I grew up in a town where there was not a lot of black people. Mm-hmm. I don't think I ever even went to school in elementary with one. I think there may have been a couple of them in high school once I got there. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I was raised in a household with a loving family that taught me skin color doesn't mean shit.
Doesn't mean anything. It's the person.
Yeah.
It is the person. So
Willie just messaged me. It said it kicked him out. Oh, there he is. He's back. He's back. All right. Got you back. Just got your message too.
Sorry, fellas.
No, it happens. StreamYard, it happens with StreamYard almost once an episode.
Janky.
Okay, so it does happen. I never had to happen. So I was like, wait, whoa, what happened? Okay.
Hey, just a heads up. I'm gonna let you keep going at 5. I might freeze my thing and then redo it so I can come. But 3 Jive Turkeys is laughing because I got Willie on the podcast. And that is I was with these 3 Jive Turkeys yesterday. That's Steve Warren, Tony V, and Jamel. They're down here
for the Warren Academy.
Yeah, they're down here for a 707. So
yep.
Okay.
Down here. Might go see those Jive Turkeys after the podcast, man. And it was nothing but jokes going on for about a couple hours yesterday.
Those jokes had to
tell
be
those
flying.
JTs we need to get them on here as well. Steve Warren would be awesome to talk to.
They're all with it. They all say yeah. They all say yeah.
It's gonna be a busy this off season, man.
So go ahead, Willie. Keep cooking, brother.
Yeah, Willie. Back
where were we at? Yeah, it's like where were we at? Oh,
the racism part that you guys were dealing
we moved
with.
on. Yeah.
And you're talking about the interviews, how you stopped doing interviews, how you
just stopped doing interviews, like I said. And then, man, I was just kind of lost from that portion on. And I can say that, it's just one of those things. And it just disconnected me from Nebraska football a bit because it was, again, a very confusing situation, right? Of how to understand, how to process it, things like that. And I can tell you too, man, it was just challenging, man, because not only am I dealing with that, then I'm also dealing with down there at the time that's when, Osborne retired. So let's moved on up. And I can tell you that I didn't take that time. That time was difficult, man. That was a very difficult transition for me personally. I can share today, honestly and openly, that my position coach that came in at the time, I was not fair to him, man, and I was not kind. And
who was that? I forgot who it was, Willie.
Actually, it was Gillespie. Gillespie came in. Came in.
That is right.
And I can tell you this much. So I'm gonna go there. We're gonna go to it, man. We're gonna just go into some of this stuff because at the end of the day, this is 30-something years ago, and it's healthy to discuss it, I think, to heal it. And so I can share that when Gillespie came in, so it's kind of went, and instead of being with us running backs anymore, he went over and started joining Coach Gill, just like Osborne used to. Now, it made sense for Osborne to be in there, and I'm not saying it didn't for Solis, but Osborne was quarterback, quarterback coaches, So he's in there with Gill doing his thing. Now, when Solis starts doing that, that'll be fine. But when we get to our first exam, meaning before games, man, Solis will give you this exam, and on this exam, you're showing because you got all the players, you got the position, you got the position you're gonna be running. The fullback had to be just as intelligent. So most intelligent spots on the offense are going to be quarterback, fullback, and the center. Okay, because those three have to know every single play, every single read, every single thing that everyone else is doing. You have to know it all. So with Solis, when you're drawing people, you have to draw every lineman yourself. Where my eye back's going to go, what he's going to do. Now with Gillespie, it became a thing where it was just, where's the fullback going? So where are you going to go, and where's your eye back going? Okay. Now, for me, I needed a little deeper than that. So then I went in and started meeting with Coach Tenneper, and I watched film with Tenneper, and I watched what my linemen were doing. And then at this time, this is when D'Angelo and Evans was still playing, and D'Angelo and I we went and had a conversation with Solich and just asked him if maybe he want to come back, hang out with us, because the running back coach is a good running back coach, but he's not him, right? He's not teaching it at that level, and we also need to come back in and help us out. Now, I'm thinking that may not have done the best thing and may not have worked out the best. Just being that maybe it was taken the wrong way, maybe came across wrong, because I know things didn't go so hot after that. Poor D'Angelo ended up being gone, and then at a certain point, it just, Gillespie and I really butted heads. And I can tell you, I got through my time down there, but guys would see me at events and I'd be drunk as a skunk. I'd be cussing, I'd be fussing, I'd be talking about Gillespie. That's all I could talk about, Gillespie. And he didn't do this, and he made me do this, and he did. And I was so frustrated, so mad, so pissed off, so lost, so angry, right?
Just letting it eat away at you.
Dude, and I let that eat away at me for a long time. I truly did. And I can say this much, though. Here's the beauty about grace and time and life and perspective is that as an older man, and finally, like I said, that's when I got sober and learned about the pain pills and the alcohol, was at 40. But also at that time, as my brain is changing, my thought process is shifting, I'm doing more special internal work to find out all my traumas. What are my demons that have created my thought processes? And how can I attack these things? What are some of my deepest beliefs and my hatreds? And my hatred was a Gillespie and everything else. And so, but here's the thing, I started thinking about it. And it's like, why am I so angry at Gillespie? And I'm like, because he did X, Y, Z. And then I started thinking, well, you as a kid, yeah, you were a kid, you went into your head coach. He is your running back coach. And you basically said that he ain't doing his job and that he needed help doing his job. So at the end of the day, how is he supposed to really kind of take that, right? I mean, granted, I like it to have worked out in a way where he and I could be been partners, been buddies. We could have gotten aligned and on the same page at that
Right.
time and worked well together, but we didn't. We more had friction. And what I can say is that when I messed up later on in life, right, having all this kind of stinking thinking, burning and fueling me, and again, allowing emotions and feelings to dictate my behavior, okay, and got myself in trouble. One of the only people that called me as I'm checked out mentally, because I'm on a whole bunch of medications at this time because I didn't realize about the alcohol and the pain pills and the damage they were doing to me. One of the only people that called me when I was homeless, when I got on all these meds, and I was literally had just got into the Salvation Army, one of the first people and only people that called was Coach Gillespie.
Whoa.
Boom. So let that sink in. Coach Gillespie called me around 2009 after I had been at parties, events, anything I went to, being drunk and talking a whole lot of just nastiness about him. He called to check in to see if I was okay. Okay. I, on the other hand, didn't really even recognize that or it didn't register because I was so gone on the medications I was on. I was so gone in my addictive thinking at the time that I didn't even see it. But I can tell you, once I got sober and I started working on who do I need to have an amends with? Who do I need to make things right with? Who do I need to own my behavior with and clean up my side of the street with? Gillespie was one of them people. And I thought about him hard, man. And I was like, this man was my coach. He was my coach that came in. We had conflict. I didn't really like him. I didn't feel he really liked me. Towards the end, there was a respect. I respected him as a coach. He respected me as his player at the end. But there was that disconnect. So I researched, found his number, and I called him. And I owned my behavior with him of saying to him, Coach, I'm sorry. At the end of the day, I didn't give you a fair shot really at all. When you came in, and I told him, when you got it to where I'm not really doing all the linemen and whatnot, I just figured you didn't know what the lineman was supposed to do. Maybe I jumped to the conclusion. Maybe you just simply wanted me to show what the running back was supposed to do, and it was that easy. That you already knew I knew what the lineman did. But in my head, you're not Solich. You're not my guy. So I took it the way I took it. But I'm just grateful to say this is that, again, as we're saying that certain events, certain things happen when we were younger while we were playing. But as we're older today, it's like, this is the time where we can make some things right. And that's the thing that was very healing, not only because I needed it for me, I truly did. Now, whether Gillespie told me I could go fly a kite and everything else, he had that right. He had the right. But man, he didn't do that. And we had a very healing conversation that was beautiful. Two men, both of us being able to admit that we were both just doing the best we could to do our own jobs, me as the player, him as a coach. And that, hey, that just happened, and the beauty of it is that in my mind, as I questioned his thoughts about me and thinking that he thought I was terrible, thinking that he thought I was just a terrible fullback, really, because that's just how I felt while I was playing. To hear from the guys after me, they call up, be like, man, hey, I know Gillespie give you a hard time, man, when we be in the film room where he's messing with you. He's like, but now that you gone, that's all he talks about. Watch Willie hit this guy. Boom. Watch Willie hit this linebacker. This is how you need to hit the linebacker. Watch Willie do this cut block. This is how you need to cut block. Watch Willie run over this guy. So it was like, I'm just like, wait.
You became the standard.
I'm like, wait, you mean Coach Solis? Actually, sorry. I was like, you mean Coach Gillespie used my name and said that was a good job? I'm like, well, damn, okay. So And then, like I said, having that conversation with him years later, you could tell that, yeah, the man had some love. It's just, again, at that time period, it just didn't, we didn't show it to each other, and we didn't feel it from one another. And it was like, so I walked off from Nebraska, man, pissed off with a sense of just being disconnected. I'm like, man, that was not what I expected. Found out that I don't maybe look like everybody else that played my position. Therefore, I guess I'm different. No one really said, hey, you're our starter and you're our guy. We love you. We believe in you. And those things, again, had a lasting impact. But I can tell you that God is good, man, and life is good. I have tried to take my life in many different ways. You know, one time where that was slit my wrist, which happened. I did that, but I still was here. Somebody showed up as I was trying to bleed out. They showed up. I've taken pills at times and woke up the next day not understanding how. I just took a whole bottle of hydrocodone. This would be back then, right? Where I take a bottle of hydrocodone. It's like 5s or 10s. I take a whole 30, wake up the next day. How am I still alive? I mean, I take that and I was maybe 430 pounds. Maybe that's
Still.
weight distribution, but still, how are you alive, right? So my point is having those experiences, still waking up, like just not knowing. So what's the point of all that? And the point of it is just that finally, man, to just get based on some truth, get locked in reality, because certain events that happen start giving you a false narrative of who you are, that you're different, that everybody thinks you got to be different. You know, in order to find out who I truly was, again, it took somebody saying to me around 35, when I was around 35 years old, who is Willie Miller? And at that time, I had no clue. But that was the question that sparked everything, was hearing, who is Willie Miller? As I'm 35, as I'm lost, as I'm 400 and something pounds, as I'm on 18 plus medications at that time, you know, disability, all of that. Who is Willie Miller? I'm like, don't have a clue. Like, some people think decent person, some people think not a decent person, some people think smart, some people think, you know, an asshole. I don't know. So I had no clue, you know, no clue. But I can tell you that it took that experience I had, that once I was 40, when I did drink myself into that coma, that's when I woke up from that again. And it was simply, man, it wasn't like I got to a point where I'm drinking every single day, all day long or anything. It's just, I'm a person that once I started drinking, I was a binge drinker. So I like them Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sundays. Boom, when I start, I don't stop until it's gone, right? Until I go to sleep. And it was like during that experience, and that last time I drank, I had told myself I switched from doing beers. I was doing my case, watching the Nebraska game, doing my thing, and then switched it over to a Crown Apple and told myself, you are drinking this Crown Apple, nice little fatty, same as you are beer, which is way too fast and you need to slow it down.
Whoa.
That was the last thought. But I still remember it still did this when I had said no. That's when I knew I lost control. I no longer had any control over the power of drinking, and that I had lost control of me. So when I woke up from that, as they're yanking out the tube and everything else, because they had me intubated, they're yanking that out. They had me cough. They got my arms strapped to the bed because they thought I was trying to take my life, just due to the way it was, whatever. That is the first moment, though, when I woke up, because I did have the bright light experience. And that was truly my waking up. It was a bright light. And it was the first time in my life, man, where this bright light, I saw myself not at the age that I was, but I saw myself at about 4 years old, when I truly kind of remember myself being my most innocent. And this was prior to that experience I had in the first grade. This is when I was happy, Willie, running around, just being silly, being a silly kid, just goofy. That's where I was at in this bright light moment. This light comes down, that it is the brightest light I have ever seen. And it engulfs me, and it picks me up, and it takes me into it, and it's holding me. So it doesn't have a form, but it has me supported, where I'm comforted, and I am just kind of like a little kid, just looking around, and it's just like this thing is talking to me in a bright light, and it's just telling me, like, I know that you, for some reason, have questioned whether you're loved your entire life. And I'm kind of like, well, yeah, pretty much, you know. And this thing is, I'm gonna tell you, right? I love you. I see you. I see the amount of times you tried to take your life. Mm-mm. This is the last chance on this one. So this bright light let me know I am letting you know that I love you. Okay. And what that did for me, that was the very first time in my life that I developed any kind of self-love. I
Mm,
have never had a self-love or appreciation. I have had tons of love for others. I have appreciated others. I would give my shirt off my back to someone else. But I can tell you, until that moment, I didn't even feel worthy of my own shirt.
mm,
That's the reality of it. But in that moment, that love I felt allowed me to have an own love that's turned on the inside of me, that it felt like my heart started beating for the first time, kind of like the Grinch. You know, when you
mm,
saw the Grinch when that little thing just beeps and then it gets bigger
Mhm.
and bigger. That's what happened. And I'm sitting there as this kid where I'm just like, holy crap, like this is what love feels like. And I'm like, ooh, and it's like I knew, okay, yeah, I'm loved. And then boom, I'm like, I love me. Like, yes, this is amazing. Like, like, I have been allowed to live. I'm 40 years old. I have tried to take my life so many
mhm,
times. I have been married 3 times. I'm like, I have been disconnected from my daughter a bit. I'm like, I have messed it up with my parents. All this is running through my mind while at the same time being loved by this light, feeling this love, having my own self love developed. And then in that, I also realized, who am I? Right? That's the next question. It's like, you're a scared and terrified little boy in a grown
mhm,
man's
Yeah.
body, in a grown man's body who has gone through some things, and you try to pretend like you haven't.
mm,
And it was just like, so this bright light just tells me, it's like, okay, so now get on down there and do my will, because this is it. So man, as I woke up, I just woke up on a mission with a passion for, I'm going back to that innocent kid that I was, where I loved everybody, man. I'm having jokes now. Don't get me wrong. I can still be pretty intense. You know what I'm saying? I'd be pretty intense, but I do try and play more. And I try and give myself a little bit more grace because I'm very, very hard and difficult on myself.
mhm,
I have where other people, you can mess up with me and I'll be like, okay, it's all good. Now, if you mess up purposely again or something, then it's gonna be different, but I'm gonna give you a second chance. But my
mhm,
point is, when I mess up in my head, I jump inside the word of you dumb, all
Yep.
these nasty, mean words. And I've shared this before when I've done some of these talks, is I have a PhD in negative self-talk, and it
mhm,
is not okay. And I have gone from having like that that PhD, and kind of come down to where I'm, high school advanced level in it. And I'm trying to, break it down,
mhm,
right? To get down to the elementary level, because I want to reverse that. I want to reverse that and be kind to self, because I'm kind to others. It's just I am not very kind to self. So that's where I'm
mhm,
still working on progress. Is I'm still giving grace to other people. I'm realizing at the end of the day that you're gonna do whatever you're gonna do, but I'm
mhm.
responsible for my actions and what I do on my end,
Right.
and I can move forward with that. And it's just like that's how life is today. And that's why, man, it's grateful. That's why I'm grateful the way I am and have that attitude of gratitude, because it truly is, life is what we kind of make of it. And
Mhm,
if we want to dive in and we want to make it better, it's kind of like when all the things are going on in the world and people are like, you need to do this or you need to do that. To me, it struck with, no, it's, if I want there to be change in the world, I have to be willing to be the change.
mhm,
A matter of fact, during that time, I tattooed that on myself with a lion head and a be the change with it, because it's like, I'm not going to ask you to do anything that I'm not willing to do myself. Okay.
Yes.
So I have to be willing to do it. I have to be willing to grow, to learn, to mature, to improve, and those things, and share those things. That's what I'm called to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, I got to tell you, Willie, it's amazing to hear and refreshing to hear like how open and honest you are about your past. Because most people, the things that you have gone through, the things that you have experienced, most people would want to shove that down, never talk about it again. Maybe they speak about it in a therapy session, but that is not something they would want anybody in their public lives day to day to really probably know about. So
But
the
but
fact that you have the courage to speak about this is just amazing.
but watch this. This is something that we all. You grew up in the church. You grew up in the church as well. Our generation grew up in the church. That is what a lot of people don't understand and aren't familiar with. That is what you call a testimony, people.
Yeah.
That is what you call a testimony. And a lot of people are unwilling. I think we've started being in a culture where people don't want to hear someone's testimony because it's been put out as if it's a bad thing. But there are testimonies can help you realize some stuff you have going on internally that you might need to work on, that you might that you need to work on. So when people like Willie come out and my brother shares this, you feel it because you can understand it. And one thing you always hear with testimonies is said person pretty much had to hit rock bottom. That rock bottom, I think now, I think a lot of people think rock bottom is going to be in a year or a couple months. That rock bottom can be over a period of years. And the individual going through it has no clue that they're going down that slope eventually to get to rock bottom because they don't see it, because it's an addiction, because they have all these other things that they've blocked it out, they've tuned it out. So it's the story when you hear about, let's say, the person said opiate or other drug addictions for years. And the kids are like, I haven't seen you for 20 years. You've been like, I was on drug. I think the person on the other side needs to have more empathy and understand it because they can't, because they just feel how it hurts them. But sometimes you have to put yourself in the other person's shoes and say, oh, okay. They didn't know that this is what was going on. Because if they knew and were aware that this was going on, I'm pretty sure they would have, and if they were able to at the time, stop it happening. But to hear him say, I hit rock bottom, I was in this moment of this and that, and then to come up out of it, because that's normally how it happens when you hear it. When they come out of that point, it's like, oh, that's it. I've heard the story of people going cold turkey and like, I need to get all this. And I want to salute you, brother, because one of the biggest things I'm sure you've had to do, and I think it took so much off of your back, is when, and I'm sure you can attest to this, is when you went back in and made amends with everyone that you felt that you had done a certain way. I'm sure that was probably one of the best feelings that you could have had doing that.
Absolutely, man. It's the most healing, most therapeutic thing ever. And it's like, even if it was not met with the best reception on their end, it's not for them. That's the problem. It's for me, right? If a person can't meet you where you're at, they're just maybe not there yet. It's like, but if you are there, if you are willing to make peace with that, if you're willing to move forward and do the next right thing, man, that's a blessing. That's huge. And that the peace of mind you get, that you don't have someone else in your head anymore playing with you, or you're worried about them. I mean, because I had that for a long old time, and y'all, hey, some other cats know, y'all know. So it's like, but now, man, I'm cool. I can be around any of the cats. It don't matter to me now, man, because God has had all this work out the way it needed to be. But like you said, there was that element of there being some kind of a faith moment. There was certain experiences, but I can tell you that truly my experience I had in the past also led to me putting both the double fingers up at God to say, nah, because at the end of the day, there's certain times where I felt I was doing it right, and that it turned out wrong. And it was just kind of like, I'm going to do it myself. But I'm going to tell you that I did that, and it didn't go so hot. And that went for like a 12-year period. Don't advise that for anybody unless you want to be on disability.
Make you question. Yeah, it'll make you question God that sometimes that stuff will happen.
Yeah.
People understand that happens to people. You're like, you get the why me? I'm not this person, and I know this person is a habitual, horrible person, and they do A, B, C, and D. But then I try to do everything right, and why am I getting why is this happening to me? It makes you test your faith, and it makes you test your belief, and it makes you question.
Yeah, it does.
And then you can have that, but then, like you said, you keep doing that, then it ain't gonna work right, buddy.
Get out the way. That's right. It ain't gonna work right. So until you finally give up, you give it. You allow it to let go. Thank God, as they say, there's some of those simple cliche sayings. They sound simple, they sound corny, but they're there for a reason. It's because they work. And it's like, as you let that pill go, man, it does its own thing. So there's been some beautiful things, man, and kind of like you were saying, Cheetos, before about with my pops and all kinds of stuff, man. We can sit here and talk forever. So it's like, really and truthfully, there's been a lot of good things.
No, and to add on to what Kenny was talking about there, somebody seeing what you're going through and finally speaking up. One thing I will tell you, Kenny, and I think Willie can probably attest to this. When you're deep into addiction, it does not matter what anybody tells you, what you look like. It doesn't matter what they say. You're not going to listen until you see it yourself.
You see yourself, if you're fortunate enough, enough that something smacks you hard enough in the face to where you can say, damn, wow, I do have a problem. Because here's the thing, I heard that for a long time about the pain pills, especially. It's like, hey, they started that in Lincoln. It's like, when I'm done, and every time I saw a special, they kept wanting to take me on my pain pills, saying, because I'm taking 80s, I was up to 80 milligrams of oxy a day.
Whoa.
And they'd be, oh yeah, I'd be taking 420s a day. 420 of those a day because of my back and my neck. And guys would be, the doctors would be like, you're taking too much. And of course, what would be my thing? Did you play football? And it'd always be, I don't even, as soon as that came out of my mouth, it meant to you, stop talking. I ain't, nope. And like I said, you go back to, my brain is also on spin and repeat about hating by my coach, hating this, the world's against me. I mean, all this stupid stuff is what's trucking in your mind, and somebody's trying to tell you maybe you have a problem, and you trying to think you don't know how bad I'm hurting, and until you finally, like you said, you get to a certain point where you're sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I got to the point, man, where it was fun going out and being at the club and have my drink at times, because it allowed me to loosen up and not be so straight-laced Willie, right? But then it got it to a point where, no, man, it wasn't about no loosening up. It's about, I just became an emotional mess. Like I said, Lord, you get some liquor in me, man, I'm sad. I'm crying. I'm like, my life sucks. I'm suicidal. It got weird. And I don't know, man, it happens, And like I said, after a certain point, you just have to get sick and tired of that. And that's where I got. And that's what I'm grateful for, because some people, man, they don't hit that, but I was able to. And that's why it's not fun to maybe go into some of these things or talk about this stuff. But as you realize, and as we have done, we've discussed a situation, we've discussed an experience. We talked about how it was initially and how maybe we thought about it initially and how it ruled our thought processes. But then we've also taken it to the other end of that and talked about, as we learned, grown, matured, how we're able to take that same scenario, and it's a whole different viewpoint of that. And it's like I said, one of the things I want to point out, because I got to say this, is the one with my dad. I got to bring that up because, there's a big thing with my pops where my dad would come to games and whatnot. We talked about this earlier, where Cheetos and guys like Sheldon Jackson and VJ would all be like, man, your pops is here, your pops is here. And I'd be, man, but he's drunk. He's drunk and he's acting a fool, because he'd be saying Free Willie, he'd be doing his thing. And I didn't understand it. That was my dad's way of like being proud that he was there, that he was supportive. I'm thinking, hey, my dad's never said, son, I'm proud of you, or grabbed me and just locked on it and gave me a hug and said, I loved you. Like, what I understand now is that's what I had wanted. That's the way that I felt it needed to be done. But the beautiful thing is that today, again, my dad and I had such a rocky relationship where there was a lot of hatred and a lot of mean words that I said to him. But I am grateful that time has allowed for him to see the changes in me, for him to see me get my stuff together, for me to go to Creighton, for me to be allowed to practice in the state of Nebraska as a registered nurse, even though I have that low grade felony, whatever. Like, him seeing my life has changed, me off disability and everything else. After being on that for 10 years, I didn't have any income. I'm just getting what I get from there. So now I got my own income from working with my nursing degree, and I'm moving forward. No longer am I getting that. So how many people have that, right? How many people get put on, like, it wasn't temporary disability, it was SSDI, done, really done, right? 10 years, like to date, I think it was 12 years total or whatever. So like to be working again, to be back in the game, to be back mentally and physically, crazy. Because like I said, guys, 400 pounds for that 10, 12-year period. Not, so guys that see me today, they assume that I kind of look the same as I did when we played college. They don't understand that. Let me lift this shirt. Let me show you some of this, this stretch tissue here from that 400 something pounds, because there was that time. But the beautiful thing, like I said, is just being able to have the conversations with my dad, to thank my dad. And before he passes, right, that I can actually look him in the eyes and talk to him and say, Pops, I didn't know, but now I do. And thank you for coming to the games. Thank you for doing your free Willie. I mean, you was proud. That made you proud. And it's
Yeah.
cool. It's cool. It's like we talked about the few crappy fans that I had that crappy experience with. Let's talk about the great fans that I've had, that as they've seen my journey and as they've seen the changes and as they have sent me things, they have truly filled me with love and care and joy for the university that I didn't have anymore. I had hatred for that stuff. They have given me some love again because they have said things to me about how much they truly enjoyed being around my dad and hearing my dad's free willies and doing the Miller times during games and all that
It's
kind of
Miller
stuff.
time. Yeah.
Yeah. See,
My man.
and it's like, and
My
I got a
man.
chance to, say to him, man, like, again, I said this on like with it was like with good old Zadiska and Travis.
Oh, on Pod Talk.
But on their pod talk with them, where I got a chance to say that with my pops, man, him watching when I was little, he always watched the toy. That's that one with Richard Pryor in it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Jackie Gleason and his son and whatnot.
Yes.
And my brain was just like, my dad watching this all. Why are we watching this again? Like as a kid, I'm like, why are we watching this again? And now as a 40-something, I'm like, because that's my dad's way of saying he loves me. That's my dad's way of saying he is not a man that can grab me and tell me he loves me. So he is having this film to show, I love you, son, and you mean the world to me. So it's so cool because it's like any other. I mean, he didn't have to do that. So the other cool thing that I love about with my pops today, man, is I was so pissed at my pops about he was strict. Man, I couldn't leave my own street. I mean, all this stuff. I mean, my friends didn't want me coming over to the house because my pops was gonna be calling, checking on me. Hey, what's Junior doing? I was Junior. I'd be so embarrassed and be so mad. But here's the thing. Again, he's a man that's born in 43.
Yep. I was
down
about
there,
to say that.
backwoods of Mississippi.
Yep.
He is worried about his son. He is worried about his family. He wants to make sure that nothing happens to his son or his daughters or his wife. And now I understand that at a whole different level.
I was literally about to say that, to say he grew up in a different time. And that time
he had to grow up tough. He had to grow up tough.
That group did not show. That was the still, but them generations, they loved you, but they loved you hard. They didn't show it in the way that you thought it should have been. Yeah, like they were taught that they were your dad. You respected them. It's almost they loved you hard, but they parented you with fear and respect. And everything, like you said, he was doing, because I'm glad you said I was like, he was being protective of you, and he wanted to make sure that nothing happened to you. So, that the hugs and all that stuff, and like I tell people, the fairy tale stuff, they didn't come from that. It came from, son, I'm gonna be hard on you, but this and that and this and that. And that was his way of showing love for you and how proud he was for you. But as you got older, that pivot hit like, oh,
sure did.
That's what that was.
Yep, because he would say too. He would say too, man. Because there'd be times I call him in the middle of the night, man. When I got me out of tore one on, and I'd be going on. Why were you so mean? Why did you, And he would tell me, son, keep on living. And those times when I call him going off, here's the interesting thing: is I felt like the way he grew up, I was terrified of that man. Growing up, I felt like. But he allowed me to have those moments. He allowed me to have those moments of like going off because he knew I needed that. Like he knew that obviously my son is seeing something different. So I'm gonna give him this for a moment. But then he'd have a certain a little window. But so he wouldn't come back at me nasty. He wouldn't try and say nothing nasty. And he gave me that. And then, like I said, as time progressed, his words would start resonating. Just keep on living. Just keep on living, son. You're gonna see something. Like you might think that, but just keep on living. And like I said, man, like you said, Cheetos, it's beautiful to know, man, that this man loved me more than I ever thought was possible by the things that I was so pissed off about. And it's so beautiful that today I get to sit there and know that and acknowledge it, where I sat here for like 40-something years pissed off about it.
Yeah.
And it's like, I've had like 6 beautiful years to be truly enjoying it and grateful for it. That it's just like, man, this is the beautiful thing about life is that we really get to go inside. Because here's my thing. For me, if I got any wise words I can share to anybody, it would be this: life is an inside job.
Mhm.
This whole thing, it's wrong. It's wired wrong. Me thinking I'm gonna get my value of who I am, of what I am, of who I am to become by looking outside,
Yep.
outwardly, that is not, and that has been what has led me so astray my entire life. And every time I start to mess up a little bit, when I pay attention, it's because I'm doing that. I'm looking
Mhm.
and stop. What I learned, stop doing all this and all that. Do this.
Yep.
That Zen inner thing where you start asking yourself the right questions. Because if you ask yourself the right questions, you can come with the right answers.
Mhm.
Because whether you believe it or not, we are all tied into that higher spirit, that divine, that light.
Yeah.
We can try and disconnect and we have some bad things happen, but it's always still there. If we come back to it, it's there. So,
Yeah.
like I
And
said,
you know
just ask-
what? Yeah, you know what I can appreciate the most about what you said about your dad is you think about it when you were in your down moments and you were doing what you were doing. What did your dad do? He gave you grace.
Yeah.
And
and
when he could have been totally different, he gave you grace and said what he said to you, which is what a lot of people don't understand. Sometimes, like you said earlier, brother, you just give people grace and understand. That's why I've never judged people. I've never been on someone who's I might be pissed. Like, I don't understand why you drunk driving and this and that and this and that.
Yeah.
But I give them grace. But mine comes from a place of here I am being able to get ready to go to the league. I'm here and there, and I'm on this, and I get hit by a drunk driver, and it wipes it away from me. You get what I'm saying? So that was my. But then I understand if it's foolishness, that's it. But when people have true addictions and they're going through stuff, like I said, they don't know. You guys know you don't know you're doing it, but the people who knows that it's hurting are the ones around you and they see what you're going through. And a lot of times those people give you grace. How many times and stories have we heard of people going through those type of things, doing stuff that just harms their family, stealing, the robbing, the lying, the burning through money, all of those things. And those family members stick there and still give grace until they get to a point to where they can't. But that's just really dope that you said that and you realized my dad gave me grace when I was going off because he understood I was going through something. Instead of judging me and tearing me down when I'm already broken, he listened. He listened.
It did.
That's dope, bro. That's dope.
It did. It did. And it taught me, like I said,
Willie,
life lessons.
Willie, be very thankful that your dad could show up for games and everything. I mean, I'm still fortunate to have my dad. I think he's 77, 78 years old now, but he busted his ass at a job he absolutely hated for 23 years to provide for us because my mother was always in between jobs. And he very rarely ever got to see me play sports at all. He would take vacation 1 week every year in the summer so he could at least get to see one baseball game of me. He could not take off to see me play football. He got to see one wrestling match that I had in high school. Never got to see me run track. So be very thankful that your dad was able to be there in any shape or form to watch you do what you were loving to do at the time.
No, you're right. You're right, 100%. Because that is very fortunate, especially with him being a male and whatnot.
Yeah.
And it's like, and even with my mom. I mean, I know a lot of guys, their moms aren't able to make it to a lot of their events.
Yes.
My mom didn't miss a single one ever.
Neither did mine.
So it's like, and that's the blessing, right? It's like, and then it's like, how do we honor them? And it's like, and for me with mine, my mom, like I said, she was a nurse. So therefore, like I said, I had always wanted to be a nurse, man, ever since I was this big. But see, those you already know. And Bryan, now you do, but you know how the jokes flow. You as a kid trying to say, I want to be a nurse. Yeah, back in the day when we was a little younger, that didn't go so high.
Yeah, you don't say you want to be a male nurse, just like you don't want to be a male cheerleader.
What a candy stripe?
So there you go. So the whole point is, like I said, as we get older, you just don't care no more, and you just go with who you're supposed to be anyway, because that's what's comfortable, that's what's right, And so it's a beautiful thing, and that's what I'm grateful for. Like I said, when I told you guys that I was just grateful to be here and to be a part of this, like still living here in Papillion, like I said, the next thing that I might actually do, I'm gonna put this on out there too, is I'm excited. I'm gonna start recording me some shows and whatnot because this has been a long journey. Yes, I've been working on a book that I'm doing that will tie into some of these things because it needs to dive into some of those things that are just not coming back to me, that are certain experiences and how they shape thought patterns. So, like, I'm gonna go into some of that stuff because then I'm gonna talk about how going back into dealing with those, the healing and therapeutic effects of that, right? Because there's a whole process, there's a whole experience. And so I was kind of frustrated with myself and like, man, this book needed to be out a long time ago. But no, that's the whole point is God has things happen in his timing the way they need to be. And it's like, I'm still healing, I'm still processing. So therefore, there's still more to go into this.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, I'm excited because there has been a health and wellness journey. Like I gone from being in shape in college to where I was at 400 pounds and all that kind of stuff. And then here I am back on the decent side of that. Thank God for muscle memory and all that hard work we put in, because it's still there. I don't work out right now. I haven't had time. So it's like, I'm excited because now I have the opportunity again. But being here in Papillion, the beautiful thing is now I get to tie into some of the local businesses between Papillion and Bellevue and Omaha and maybe some in Lincoln, have some on some of the shows talking about longevity, wellness, longevity, and everything else. Because again, I do have the background of before I got lost, having and done pharmaceutical sales. So I do understand things when it comes to like GLP-1s, tirzepatides, semaglutides, these different words that people don't know. It's like those are words I can say. There's like HCTZ as far as the medication, hydrochlorothiazide. Oh my goodness, I said it. So the point is, like all these big fancy words in science, I know that world. I am a nurse today, so I can talk about some of these things. So I'm super excited because that's some of the next things happening, right? Is to be able to start having some shows, talk about those things. I get to talk about the different, say, supplements that I do today and all that kind of stuff and how are they helping me. But it's not about the part about how are things helping me to be like in shape or be strong. No, man, how are things helping me with my mind? That's right. What are the supplements that I'm taking to improve this? Like NAD. What does NAD do? Like some of the things I'm excited to talk about because again, my brain and everything has been through a few things. Hey, we've all done some hits out on that field. And I'm gonna say, hey, I'll show you this right here. I'm gonna whip this out for the moment while we sit here. This is some of the things I'm talking about too. It's just different tools you can use. Like, hey, right here, this little helmet, right? I'll put this bad boy on. My little red light therapy helmet. It's a Mito helmet.
What you trying to get some hair?
I knew the joke was coming. Because hey, here's the point though: is Mito Red does have hair products, but then they also have ones that are for the brain for stimulation for it to help you, and so that's what this one's for. It goes down deep into the brain with the red lights and everything else.
Hey, that's a big old helmet there, brother.
I know, right? So but those are my points. See, that's what the point is, like to have fun with,
you looking like Buddy on. You looking like what's you call it on Spaceballs.
Oh God, dude! One of the greatest movies of all time. One of the greatest.
Oh, there we go. Now,
one of the greatest of all time.
I knew King was about to get him a good one in before we got off this doggone show. I knew he was about to get him a good one in, and I gave you. You're welcome for your material.
You're man. Like the Spaceball. What was his name?
You're welcome. You're welcome.
And your bus had deep tint, and your bus was short.
You had Rick Moranis was Lord
Rick
Helmet.
Moranis. That's right, with John Candy. That's the big old dog.
John Candy
the dog
was
looking. Barf, yeah.
they had the space herpes.
Good stuff.
Man.
Oh man.
But it is.
Man.
I remember seeing that movie. I was way too young to be seeing that movie when it came out. I mean, I was probably 5-6 years old, and that movie stuck with me. I own it on DVD to this day and still watch it. I think my favorite part is when they're trying to comb the desert.
Oh,
he's asking, have you found anything? It goes through like two different guys. The last guy just flips his visor up. We ain't found shit.
Classic, man.
It is. Yeah. It's I mean, my God, Mel Brooks.
Oh man, that's good stuff. Man.
All right. Well, before we start winding it down here, Willie, we did bring this up. Before we hit record, I asked if it was okay if we discussed it at all whatsoever, and it's what you and your wife went through a year and a half ago. It's, as I said, it's something no parent should ever have to go through. You're everything about that hit home, as well as everything you've talked about with your addiction journey and everything. If you wouldn't mind, for anybody that doesn't know, would you like to explain anything about that and how everything's going now?
Yeah, I can share. So, like I said, man, I tell the business I'm an open book. Um, and I've been married a couple times, been married 3 times, literally. I'd given up. I was done with relationships. Done. All the relationships I've been involved in were pre-sobriety, whatever. And it was what it was. And I was a broken person. Um, my wife today is a woman that I met once things changed for me, and once I got the back surgery that I needed and the help that I needed. It was prior to me being sober, though. I had not been done with my pain pills and alcohol. I had just had my back surgery. So we were getting to the point where the pain pills were gone, and the alcohol though was still there. So, anyways, long story short, is see Maraka, the woman that was able to say to me that I might have a problem, and I was ready to look at that. So that's how she and I began. Now she has not had a child of her own yet, and so that was something that she wanted. So that was going to require us to do IVF because I was the problem. I'm old, man. I'm old. I'm old. I'm old. And see, that's the beautiful thing too, man. I talk about this kind of stuff too. It's like I'm just an open book. It's like so I had no swimmers
Yeah.
that were willing
Oh
to
man,
partake, right?
you
So yeah,
you,
so your
you
boy was
take
a
you taking blue diamonds and don't have no Michael Phelps. That's
that,
crazy.
something like that. Something like that. Now, Kenny, you talking another language that you have to break it down to me later so I can understand. But anyways, my point is, so yes. So I was a problem. So we did IVF. So long story short, though, is that we went through once. We had none that successfully formed or came together between the egg and the sperm. And then we did again. So we did a second one, and we had two. So we had two viable ones that were two boys, both of them in the highest grade. So we went ahead and we did a transfer over. So then we transferred both the boys over to my wife for us to have twins. Background on the story, I want to share this is that was deep to me because when my daughter's mom, okay, when I was married back before and found out we were pregnant, I begged God. I said, please do not give me a son. I am not ready. I will break that boy. I'm like, please do not. I need a daughter. Please, please, please give me a daughter. I'm like, because I'm too broken of a son so please.
Mhm.
So his time and boom, he gave me a girl. Man, and I love my daughter Raina today. She and I have a very close relationship and we're awesome. But he gave me a daughter. So for this one, man, I said to him, I said, well, you know what? You blessed me last time. And I said, couldn't have a boy at that time. I said, but I can tell you what, by your grace, I put in a lot of work. I'm ready. I'm ready. If you deem it's that time, I'm ready. So it was two boys. So it was like, oh hell yeah, this is great. I'm gonna get a chance to not just one do I get to share with, I get two, I'm like, so this is awesome. So it was special. Until, they ended up coming early. They came too early. Matter of fact, they came towards the end of 23. This has been right around Thanksgiving time for 2023. They came on exactly 23 weeks, 0 days. So it was just way too early. Both of them. And so long story short is that the names were McKinley Keith Miller and Miles Major Miller. So McKinley Keith we named after her dad. His name is Keith, and Mickey McKinley is kind of a name that's from a woman that's been really close to us and very close with family. So there's kind of an honor sake there. So McKinley Keith. McKinley, he hung in there for 3 days, before he passed away. And then there's Miles Major. And for Miles, we named Miles after my dad with Major as his middle because my dad was Major Willie Miller. And to honor him and to honor his achievement and to honor the lessons that he instilled in me, because like I said, today, when I tell you I want to do something, I do it now. When I didn't do something as a child, my dad, woo, he whooped that booty boy, he tear you up. But it's like, those are the lessons though, right? So I
Mhm.
started that trash got out there with a new trash bag in the thing. So
Absolutely.
like all those fundamentals of being a truthful person, doing what you say you're gonna do, admitting if you've done something, or
Mhm.
if you've done something wrong, he taught me that. He instilled that in me. So therefore, and I'm cool with that and saw that today, right? So that in naming the boys, Miles Major is how it had to be. Miles made it a week and he hung in there. and in a week is when he passed. Now, the thing about that experience was it was beautiful, guys. That yes, it sucked that this situation went down, that we're in the hospital system, that my wife, had to have, the emergency section on this, and that, the boys are in the NICU, but I'm there. I'm there. I'm there with my wife. I'm engaged. I'm there with her as we roll down to go see the boys daily. I'm engaged. I'm not at the bar. I'm not taking on going to the bar. I'm not just checked out. Usually that's with old me, man. Something I'm gone. Okay. So this is the other thing about the side of, okay, can't drink no alcohol because again, that just doesn't work for me. I know I'm an alcoholic. It's done. We're on year 6 of that. So that's not an option when that went down. Matter of fact, that was the last option there was. The beauty of it is that through having a community of people that are also, doing the deal. I was around someone who had a similar circumstance and had lost some sons. And he was the first person I thought of and the first phone call I made when I had a moment of being clear of the situation was just how? How did you make it through? How did you not drink? How? And by him just sharing, because I'd already heard him before, we had shared that at the end of the day, it was the most painful and shitty experience he's ever had.
Yeah.
But it also was the biggest blessing to have that time with them. So for me, having already heard that, I was going to capitalize on that time because potentially they could make it, potentially they may not. We didn't know. So I capitalized on that time. And so that when they did pass, the beauty was I got that time. And in that time, they knew nothing but love for myself and for my wife. The other beautiful thing is that the people that took care of them, the nurses, their specific nurses and nurse practitioners came to the funeral. Now, that was the biggest part because I know and my wife knows that we did everything we could as far as being there for our boys, giving them the love that we had. But you're always going to wonder, do they know? Did they know?
Yeah.
Now, when they came to the funeral, I asked because I'm like, I'm sorry, guys. It took me going through this to learn that this happens a lot to people. It happens more often than people know. It's a shitty thing, but it happens. Okay. I didn't know. So, in learning that, I'm like, so why are you, I mean, I'm grateful you're here, but how and why? Why are you guys here? Because you can't do this every time this happens. It happens all the time. And they gave my wife and I something that I think has been the most healing thing from this experience is they said they had to come. They had to come because they have not had a couple and their family show more love for their children who didn't basically make it than what we had done. That they never
Wow.
experienced that. So for them who do this every single day to share that they fully felt the love, my wife and I and our family members who were able to be around and make it could give to our boys, that's all I need to know. That's what I need to know because again, that's all I can want for them is for them to know how much I loved and cared about them and the world I wanted to give them. And we got the answer that they knew, and that it's okay. And that gave us the strength to push on from there and to do the self-healing we can do. And the beautiful thing is, again, we had thought that maybe we try and create a foundation to help or to help people in this situation and things, but a foundation reached out to us, one that's called like Luna Babies Foundation. And with this Luna Babies Foundation, they anybody that experiences a loss of their child in that time, they help them with like funeral expenses, helps them with things that they need. And it's like, and they had just begun. So it's like, here we are. Yes, we've gone through this shitty thing, but here we are able to try and help. And it's like I shared before we started on this, I shared that I don't ask guys to really do anything. And I'm not really close to a lot of guys that I played with. And I think a lot of that's on me because I didn't try and connect with a lot of guys. And I think now that we've had this discussion, Cheetos, where we went a little deeper, maybe some guys can know and maybe give me a little grace that I was a little blocked off because I had to be. I could no longer be taking in everything daily just due to needing to do my job. But I would share that in this experience and everything else, one of the guys I'm really close to and have been has been Krauts with Eric. He's been there for me. And just a quick mention to him, and my wife just kind of asked him actually because they're close as well. Because I'm like, I don't want to bother nobody for that to come over.
Mhm.
But this was the thing where they needed some help. They need this organization wanted to get started. And so he came over for like an hour and a half, man, on the same day that Nebraska was playing against Colorado, on the same day that he had to be there early, the same day he was doing all kinds of things. He had his son's game that day. Eric came over here, spent an hour and a half signing things for people, taking photos and whatnot. And I mean, and within that hour and a half, I mean, we raised something like 2,500 or something just for this foundation for these kids. And people just, they could just literally give anything they wanted to donate at being here. We were doing like a garage sale of some of the items for the boys they were trying to give to them, as well as, you know, it replenished what we had spent for the things we got for the boys. But then anything as far as any donation, anything, all that went straight to them to help them. And so, like I said, Eric showing up, bringing some of his Heisman cards and just being here and being him and the cat he is today. That's the thing that gives me faith again in Nebraska football, man. It gives me faith in my brothers that I played with, that again I haven't talked to, but there's cats that I loved and I've always loved. There's cats like Steve Warren, who from day one, Steve Warren has been an amazing individual with an amazing heart that I knew that down in Lincoln, because him, myself, Kari went, and then Ralph Brown. We all went. We watched A Time to Kill together, or no, Kill a Mockingbird. What was it? One of them with Warren, with Samuel Jackson and Matthew McConaughey. So whichever one that name was, that movie, and the fact that Warren and I both had similar reactions, that we both knew that we both were cats with hearts by that watching that movie. And from that point on, man, there's certain cats like Steve Warren, there's Carlos Pope, there's certain cats that I talked to that we connected in certain ways that I'm brothers with them cats to this day. I mean, like Dan Alexander, especially, that's my guy.
Oh,
You know, Dan Alexander is an amazing individual. And so, like I said, so this was things, but like I said, to come back, it's just that was the thing that my wife and I that we went through. That was the experience. But it's like having Eric come over, helping this foundation, all that stuff allows that healing to kind of come forward, to push on that love and to keep their memory alive, because they get to make mention of their name, and that keeps that going. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. So thanks for asking, but it definitely was an easy experience, and it was hard, brother, but we're doing okay, and we're grateful for. We truly are. So
thank God, because I like I said, Willie, it's something that no parent should ever have to go through. Period in life. No parent should ever have to say goodbye to their child. It should always be the other way around in the circle of life. And to see how you guys have come out of this, and to see how your lives are today, and how public you are with sharing that on social media, it's heartwarming, Willie. And I prayers to you guys for the rest of your lives, because you guys deserve everything positive to happen from here on out.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I appreciate that. Yeah.
All right. Well, not to shift any gears or anything like that. My God. Oh, because it really is talking about all this. I mean, just real quick, I guess, just to appease anybody that thinks we're going to talk about anything going on with the team as it is today. Just a quick thought, just question, I guess, to sum it all up. In your opinion, how do you think the current staff is progressing with this team? Are they going to be looking like where Kenny was, where you guys were when you played? Are we getting back to that?
Well, to be honest with you, again, I don't study it or watch them like under a microscope, but from my outside, viewpoint and perspective, I have paid attention, because again, they have Dominic's kid down there now with Dylan at quarterback, and then having started with Dominic, I have interest in that, because again, as somebody you played with, blood, sweat, and tears, and put in all that hard work, you see their kid out there, how can you not just love that kid? It's almost like I have a block for him. You know what I'm saying? Because
that's your nephew.
It really is. It's weird. It's weird, man. So it's like, so I see him, man. I'm excited about that down there. And I'm also excited about the fact that I don't know, Cheetos. I don't know, man. I'm gonna try to keep this as simply stated as I can. But seeing that old line, they were just a little interesting. Seeing a couple of years ago, they started putting some whoever was the best. I guess they put out there. So I was like with this new regimen, and I'm excited to see this new team to have the best players out on the field. And that is what I believe this team is going to do, because this team knows that's what they have to do to win games. And that's what this day and age calls for. There's no more silliness about whatever players. You got to play the best players. And I think that's what I'm the most excited about with this group of guys down there now, is that they're going to play the best men down there. One of the things I would like to see personally, again, when you got a Coach Osborne, you're going to have the man that's playing chess with the other cats that are playing checkers. I mean, that's just how it is, right? From a coaching philosophy. When you have a Coach Solitz as your running back coach, again, you're going to have a man that's playing chess, playing against men that are playing against checkers. So all those basic fundamentals, man, we had down like no other. When it comes to making sure that ball is in your outside hand, that defender's coming at you, you square up that defender, you strike that defender with that offhand. Right? It's like, as a running back, that is the most beautiful thing about a running back. I don't know. Here's my thing. Like, I don't know how to explain this enough to you running backs. It's like you have an extra weapon. There's a defender coming at you to try and take you out. You use this weapon. You don't have to sit here with this ball and give into this defender as he comes to you and like, oh my goodness, you're coming to hit me. I'm gonna fold down. Oh no, you take that hand and it's in that outside hand. You use that free hand and you strike the hell out of that person coming at you, and you hit them so hard that the next time they come at you,
they think about it.
They don't. They think about it. Do I really want to hit him? Last time something weird happened where he hit me on my ass and something hit me somewhere. I don't know what it was. That would be that offhand getting struck up under your face mask right on your chin. That's what you do. So I would love to see the running backs do that again, because it's been a while. It's been a while since I've seen a Nebraska running back use their offhand, smack a defender, cut through them and just run them over. I'd love to see that again. Violently. I like to see it violently. Now, I do not today in my life. There's no place for violence, man. It's about love and care. But watching the game and being a person that's playing the game, it's a violent sport.
Yep.
Yes.
And to be a Nebraska running back, you got to be a violent runner. Okay, to set yourself apart. That's how it used to always be. Now, it's been a while. It's been a while, fellas.
Yeah, every position on offense was violent. Every position, fullback, running back, lineman, tight end. We were nasty.
You had to
forget that we were nasty. One of the nastiest people ever that I've ever played with as a receiver was Johnny Vedral.
Little V.
Little 25, number 25, John Vedral
was vicious.
He was a vicious dude, really?
Absolutely. He was cut blocking people. They were turning flips.
What?
Yeah.
See, these are highlights we didn't get to see growing up because everything's focused on Tommy or Lawrence or Amon or even Darren Diedrich, Marlon Luck. It's focused on the guys with the ball.
Yep.
Not with the guys like Kenny blocking downfield or you, Willie, taking somebody on in the hole there.
Hey, just go back. Just go back. Yeah. It's there. It's there. I mean, hey, nobody really shows my film. Nobody really shows it. I'm fine with that. That's okay.
Are you
go back.
Really?
You go back. You can see a thing or two. You see a thing or two. I don't know. I got told that that I was thought of pretty decently well by the league. Again, the back of the neck were the problem, and I turned the league down. So I will simply say that again, I don't think that I was the best fullback that played down there in Nebraska. I don't know that I'm even in the conversation for some of the best. There's some people who believe I was one of the best, and there's some people that when they say they watched my film, they say they never saw me take a break and they saw me run over a lot of people. So and that I'm just proud of that. I'm proud of the fact that every single time that I went after somebody on the field, I went after them.
There it is.
I had a job to do. And I want to be the best.
I was telling Kenny right before we started, right before you even got on in the waiting room with us, up until Andy Janovich, I think in like 2016 or something like that, roughly, you were the last great true fullback we had. I mean, dude, the just look at your pictures when you're wearing your uniform. You would think you're a like middle linebacker or something like that. And man, I can remember games where you would come through that hole, hit a linebacker so hard, run the exact same play 2 plays later, that linebacker's not trying to fill that hole. He is saying, no, I am not even trying to go 15 yet.
Yeah, I remember a certain game where we were playing against like Kansas State down in Kansas State. That linebacker, man, he started just coming home and he started just jumping out the way. Like literally, I come so low and so hard, man. Like you said, he literally just was standing. Then he just jump out. He just jumped because he didn't understand though. Here's the reason. Here's the reason though. When we playing against Kansas State, man, I came ready because when you're young, you watch and you pay attention.
Mm-hmm.
And I had seen a linebacker. Oh, Mark Seminole was his name. I still say it today. Mark Seminole for Kansas State. Mark Seminole. Just go back and watch him, ladies and gentlemen. Watch him.
Well.
He played against Schuster, okay? And he messed up Schuster's shoulder on the ISO. Those two met, okay? And then he met against Joel the following year. And I'm not mistaken, Joel had to go get his shoulder cleaned up a little bit too. So when it came time to go against Kansas State and against friggin' Mark Seminole, Willie was like, hey, my predecessors, you play one. You see me and this cat go at each other something. I mean, it was like, bam. And then Dan had the ball. He ended up fumbling on his first one. I don't know, something happened. But the point is me and this cat from that first one, bam. And then there's rules. I don't know if you remember this, Kenny, but back in the day, they had the rules about our blocking. Like the point, they had it to where you couldn't cut block. So meaning if I'm on a trap play and we're cutting it up the field with Eric's following me, if we cut up the field, the rule was supposed to be that I can't cut block up the field, okay? Because it's going to mess it up is what they were thinking. So I had that in that game a lot of times, and we beat them this year, and this is when we're playing them on our home field 99. I'm smacking him so hard. Because again, I'm tuned in because I'm like, this cat ain't gonna mess up my shoulder, and he's not gonna embarrass me on film. So I'm like, every time I hit this guy, I'm hitting with everything I got. But I'm hitting him so hard when we're going cutting up the field that I'm hitting him. He's getting launched, and then as Eric, Eric's so fast, Eric's right there. So as he's launched back, hell, he can reach and just grab Eric, right, and bring him down. So I'm sitting there like, I'm like, God dang it, I'm blasting this cat, and he's still making tackles. So you know what I do, Kenny, is I do this. I like usually I can't even think in games because there's so much going on in my brain. I can't process it enough to even put the words out. But I remember going over, you just go with your instincts, you do what you've been practicing all week. I finally just went to Coach Gill. I was like, Coach Gill, please, if we cut it up the field, can I have your permission to do a cut block if I need to? And he's like, Willie, I trust you. If you need to cut block and it's going to help, then do it. And I don't remember if I started doing, but my point is I finally had my person that I could go to, that I trusted, that I could get. If the rules weren't making sense, okay, like there's another one I got caught on film. Is me blocking. It used to be if you block a rush in from the fullback spot, there's no cut blocking because you got to be a man to take them on. Okay, well, I'm sorry. When you're playing against Missouri, yes, we had a great game against Missouri. Kenny, you gone by this time. But they had a guy named Justin Smith or something that was a rush in, okay, and he was a fast, big, strong rush in.
That's the cat that ended up at Cincinnati. Yeah, he was like a first round pick.
Yes, sir. Yep, and he came out. Yep, he came out his junior year after his junior year. That little bastard came off the edge. He was a little faster than I thought he was. He's the one time I didn't get my feet set, and he kind of, I got out there and I hit him and I fell down. Okay, and he went on. I got dinged. He didn't knock me back on my back. Okay, but I got knocked down forward. So, anyways, the point is that those are the type of rules that I'm talking about. It's like, I shouldn't have to, with a 265-pound man that can run as fast as he can run. If he's coming that fast, I should be able to cut him if it's going to help me in that opportunity to keep him honest, right? Because that's going to help our team. Okay. So sometimes rules were kind of silly because, again, hell, cutting him would have been fine and it worked, but I honored the rule and I got embarrassed. And of course, when I'm walking to film on Monday, who's sitting there playing it? Not you, Cheetos, because you was gone, but little Frankie London playing it. And Frankie sitting there laughing and joking and had games. And Frankie said, look at you, Willie. Look at you, Willie. And I'm going to say this much, and I'm sorry. Hey, Frank, look, I got nothing but love for you today. I really don't. We grown men today, so I got love for you, brother. But people know I didn't talk much trash. I didn't talk trash because I couldn't play. I really couldn't play. I was too serious. So, but I did say, I said to him, and I'm sorry, Frankie, but I was like, well, hey, it's kind of easy to be sitting there watching that film when you picking them splinters out that butt. You know what I mean? So I said to Frankie, I had to give him a hard time where I was like, because I was embarrassed, man. Nobody wants to see it. Like I said, that was that one time that I was like, I didn't want to see it. And he got me on it. And like I said, so nothing but love, Frankie. You got me on that one, man. But Justin had got me. Justin Smith got me off the doggone edge. But the rest of that game was a great game. It's just that one block, man. But you know how it is, Cheetos. You got that one bad play, ruins the whole doggone game. It just goes out the window. So it's just like, whatever.
Hey, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how much you paid attention to who they recruited last year, Willie, but they finally did recruit a true fullback out of Elkhorn by the name of Isaac Dickey. If you look this young man up, his senior film of just him lifting, I think you yourself might be impressed with this young man. He didn't really play last year, but I got a feeling we're going to see him in there this year to clear some pathways, if you will. But if you could give him, coming into his sophomore year, I'm not sure, maybe he redshirted last year. If you could give him any one piece of advice as a true fullback, what would it be?
Man, they play different today. They play different
That
today.
is
The
true.
rules are different. Like I honestly don't understand the rules. Like I don't even know. And of course, you guys know this about me today. I'm always going to be honest. So I don't even know if the way that I blocked and that we blocked, if it's allowed today. Do they pay attention to that? Too. I mean, am I allowed to still square that guy up, right? And as we hit, I mean, I'm sure that technically they'd be like, yeah, you can't bring the fifth, but it's like they don't really see it as a part of that. They hit the clicks and it just happens. So I would tell that cat is, hey, don't try and get don't do a shoulder, buddy. Don't always square up. When you're a fullback, it's like you always got to square up because then you allow the man behind you to choose which side you're going to. That's an old Coach Solis thing. It's like when you pick a shoulder and you try and do something on that guy, you're trying to make the decision on where he's going to go, what's going to happen. But as long as you have him blocked and you have him locked up, you give your back the opportunity to pick which way for him to go. So my best advice to him is just don't make him have to choose much. Just bury him by attacking him straight in the middle. Bury him. Because kids today, I'm sorry, I don't feel that they come in a hole like they used to a certain extent. So all I got to tell this kid is just go hard. I think if you go hard, I think hitting some of these linebackers, you're going to have them because they got to a point where when I was playing, you could see it. Well, as soon as you get in your stance, you get down, you're getting set, you're doing your reads and everything else. And as you get down and you get set and you look over across that line, you look in the eyes of that linebacker, you just start going, oh, that poor dude. Because you see the fear. You see the fear. So my point to this young fullback would be simply go straight to the middle of these guys. That guy that you're going to play next week is going to watch that film and he's going to be scared all week long and just keep it going all year. And that's how you play the position is you just go hard every snap. No plays off, right through the middle of them. Period. Hey, the other one is, but always envision it. That's the key too, is you have to see it. If you don't see yourself winning, you're not going to win. If you see yourself going in there and getting blown up, you will get blown up. You have to see yourself going in there, smashing that guy on his back. You have to see the block take place. So it's like, as I was getting situated, as Eric's, starting to go through his skating sometimes, I'm making my reads because, again, I'm doing that. He's doing that. Dominic's doing that. Just like Dylan's going to be doing that this year, and did last year. But I'm also envisioning that play. If I got a trap coming, you better believe as I'm looking, I'm thinking. And I'm thinking about me taking it to the house. And I'm thinking there's going to be a cutback lane that's going to come to the left. So you have to have that kind of thinking too. So it's not just like you're sitting there, it's all peaceful, it's all clear. You got a million things running through your mind.
Right.
But it's the whole controlling those things, having the positive framework of them, but having practiced hard and done those things that you can do them. You've seen it happen because you're going to practice. You don't play the way you're practicing. So you put in that hard work and that quick footwork. You're going to do that in the game. You're doing the half-assing and everything else, sidestepping, not doing certain things. You're going to do that in the game.
Yep.
Okay. So it just be go all out. Go all out.
Hell yes. I'm going to make sure he ends up hearing or seeing that, whichever one. It don't matter. I'll get a hold of Emmett and tell him, hey, tell Isaac he just fast forward to this timestamp. That's all you need. I'm not asking you to watch the whole thing, but here you go. You're going to get some good advice from one of the greats from here. So I hope it gets to him, and I hope he pays attention. I hope he takes it to heart. And knowing the way he is, the way he is in his persona, the way he carries himself, I think he would take it to heart, and he would definitely follow the advice almost to a T.
And just so he knows too, hey, I'm always a phone call away. I'm simple, man. I'm always here for my Husker brothers. Any kind of way, shape, or form that I can be, any advice I can give. Hell, I even sent an email back that brand new running back coach back a while ago. Again, I'm sure they get a ton of things, but I simply said into him something where I simply just wrote down and just simply saying, and I hadn't done this yet. I said, hey, respect. I think he had played fullback or something. And so I was like, from one fullback to another, respect. I never met you. I look forward to hopefully meeting you one day in the future. Again, we haven't yet. So maybe one day in the future, I'll get a chance to meet him. But him having played that position as well, I had a lot of respect for him. And I'm always willing. Any way I can be of help or service, I'm always willing.
Right on.
So,
man, this was awesome. Willie, you took us not only on just a journey, bro. You took us on an adventure, man. You filled it all with the best elements that a blockbuster movie needs to have in it. You've got the drama, you've got the just the tug on the heartstrings of everything, the feels, you've got the action, you've got some of the thriller in there even. Man, you've been through it all. And I honestly, I can't thank you enough for coming on here and telling our audience about it. For anybody that may not have followed your story at all.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. About life. He just told a life story.
Yes. And
just think, this is short form.
Yeah.
This is the short form. This is the short form. Sure.
Yeah. This is like Cliff's Notes, abbreviated version.
Because everybody think it's always here. Going ascending. They never look at the descending. It's like it's like a graph. You can go up and down, up and down, up and down.
Life can never just keep going upward, because at some point, when is enough? And then you have to fall from that. So if you just gradually make things better.
It changes every day. You're going to go through stuff. Anyone telling you they've never been through anything or has something to deal with is not being truthful.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
All right. So, guys, this Husker Army, my God, this has been awesome. I can't. This was totally worth the wait, Willie. All this was totally worth the wait.
Yeah, bro.
So glad we finally got together.
He's been on this for about 3 or 4 years, bro. He's been.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's awesome, man.
This isn't him just saying this, bro. He's been wanting to get you on there for about 3 or 4 years.
I did. Like I said, man, everything happens when it's supposed to happen.
Exactly.
Everything happens exactly when it's supposed to happen. And like I said, this is super cool being on with you guys today, because this is one of those things that, like I said, as a youngster, man, I've always looked up to Cheetos. So it's just cool. It's cool to be able to be on here, to be joking and stuff, but also to hear again, because it's like, Cheetos did his jokes, but I mean, he's also serious, you know what I mean? And a deep individual, intelligent individual. And I'm glad that here we are on your forum here, Bryan, with the Husker Army, that we're able to have that discussion and talk
Yeah.
about things.
People don't know you
know,
my boy.
life
They
is
don't
life,
know Willie
right?
was
Yeah.
my boy. Like,
It's
hey,
like,
what's
yeah,
up,
it's
Will?
like, we're good, right? It's
Yeah,
like,
we
we
sitting there
good, good.
laughing,
Like, we're good,
joking,
good, you know?
like my boy,
Yeah.
like, yeah, like people, and that's what I always tell people. I say, they don't understand like how close and tight a lot of us are. First thing when I seen Steedham yesterday, I love you, bro. That's before we even started talking him and Jamel. What's up? I mean, people don't. We're all like, we might have went on to our different parts of our life because we're adulting, but we're literally, legitimately friends. And bro,
Yeah.
we'll get
Friends
on
and
each
brothers.
other. If I can't tell you what you're doing wrong, I'm not your boy. I'm not your brother.
Yeah.
I can say, hey, man, you need to tighten up on that.
Yep.
What are we doing? What are we doing here?
Yeah.
Like Willie has said something to me. All I, hey, Cheetos, give him a little bit on this and that. I'm like, yeah, I know, bro, but they got to do this and that. But I didn't take that as somebody saying, no. That's my brother saying, man, just give him a little chance, G. Yeah. This, you know, I tried to get Willie to get at me, dog stool, when I left. That's what I had. That's what I had on my stool. Get at me, dog.
Yeah,
So
you did.
I
was like, yep, nope. I was like, I'm so far the opposite conservative extremism of that. I was just like, yep, nope, I'm out.
Get at me, dog. That's what I had on my stool.
Yeah, that was good stuff, man.
Yeah, man.
It was good stuff.
The locker room,
man.
Stuff. Locker room. Classic.
Yep. Stories.
But I love you, bro, and I'm so proud of you, man.
Yes,
we're all proud of you. Glad to see you doing well. Exceptionally happy that you're doing well, and to see what you went through to get to where you are now, and continuing to do. That wasn't an easy task, bro. And for you to stand 10 toes down on it, and as a man to be able to say those things and to keep growing as a person, even at our age, because life is a continuous learning experience.
Absolutely.
Can't be any more prouder, bro. Can't be any more prouder.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. That truly means the world to me. It really does. And like I said, and that's the beautiful thing about this is that we did what we did down there, and through doing that blood, sweat, and tears, sometimes it just takes running into one of your brothers. And I can tell you that during my darkest time, like, or during one of those certain moments, I do remember running to say like a Mike Dempsey. Mike Dempsey and I have always been cool too, you know what I mean? And Mike can tell you about how I was in practice. Like, I wouldn't talk no trash, I wouldn't do nothing. The cats would talk trash to me, and I just hunt you down during that play and hit you hard. That was the way I got you, right? And it was like, but here's the thing is, I saw Mike when I was out, and I was in the thick of it a bit, and I just could see it in his eyes. I see the care in his eyes, and I could see that he saw I was lost, but I saw the care. And so I share that just to simply share this before we leave too. It's just sometimes that's all it takes, man. Is that when you run into one of your brothers, it's like guys that you don't play with, whether it was high school, whether it was you're young, whatever, there is a bond. There is something that happens. And when you see that other one and you just make notice, sometimes you won't even know what that look does for somebody. And sometimes that person doesn't even remember that look until here we are in this conversation. And right now that just hit me. Well, I want to make sure that Mike, if you didn't hear any of this, man, hear that. Please know that you running into that day when I was at the liquor store, we were at the gas station. You saw me grab that vodka and kind of had that look like, man, we got it. And I wasn't. But you caught that. You noticed it and acknowledged it. So again, thank you, brother. I mean, again, and here we are today. We good. We solid. We got to connect. For sure. You one of them cats we talking about. And but this is the beautiful thing about all this. It's like there's blessings all the way around. So I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, we'll get you back in touch with him. I mean, I just had Gerald Irons reach out to me on Facebook. We're friends. He wanted to know if I could hook him up with Ernie Beeler's number because they hadn't talked in forever and they were teammates. So now he's talking to Ernie again. So see, this is what I'm talking about. This isn't just about talking about Husker football. This is about bringing people back together that may not have seen or talked to each other in quite some time. And it gives them a way to get back in touch if by some odd chance they can't find you on social media or find an email or a phone number. Here you go. I don't need you to subscribe to our channel either. If it serves any purpose, if nothing else, is to get you guys back in touch with each other that you may have lost touch with.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I want to give the reminder too, fellas, that I still am not perfect. I'm still trying to grow and progress every single day. And when I was in college, man, I was judgmental. Hell, I made a lot of decisions down there that I really, really do regret. There's some things I was a leader on to a certain extent when it came to voting people off, things like that, that if I could take it back, man, I sure as hell would take it back today because I think everybody, no, I don't think, I know everybody deserves a second chance.
Yes.
They do. Everyone does deserve a second chance. And it's like, I was wired a little different in college, man. So again, I hope to connect with some of my brothers from that point because there's been a change that's needed to take place. So
Right.
I appreciate it. All right.
True
Good
words
stuff.
have never been spoken, Willie.
Yeah. I appreciate you.
All right. So, Willie, where can everybody find you on social media, my friend?
Great question. You know, I get asked that question every single time I fail it miserably because I always forget to prepare for that portion.
That's
So,
okay.
you know,
We know you're on Facebook.
So I'm on Facebook. You can find me on Facebook. Just do that, or
There you
Instagram,
go.
whatever. Just do that. You want to shoot me an email? I'm old school, so just send it to Miller.Willie so MILL Willie WILLIE 15 @gmail.com. But seriously, do utilize that email or do reach out to Bryan, Kenny, anybody to connect if you're looking to do anything here in the Bellevue, Papillion area where you're wanting your business, if you're doing health, wellness, longevity stuff, to be on there. If you're doing like, cryptotherapy as far as that, or if you're doing like red light therapy, anything, those type of things, any kind of different workout spots like Vasa Fitness, things like that. If you have any of those locations that you want somebody to come in, have a little, film that gets taken of it and everything else and shared, you want to come in and talk about it on the show, just know those are some of the things I'll be putting out there. So those are some of the things I love to partner up with some people on. If you're interested, reach out.
All right. Yes. Man, I'm going to be looking forward to that. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So, all right, everybody, we'll go ahead and shut her down now. I mean, at this point, you've heard me say it numerous times. You know where to find the show at this point. If you're watching this on YouTube, please make sure to like and subscribe. Really helps us out a lot. I'm not going to show the graphic for the merch at the end of this one. It doesn't need it. It would nobody, if you caught it at the beginning, it's shop.herdatsports.com. That's where you're going to go find our merch. You saw it scrolling across the bottom there at some point during this video as well. So easy, okay? Very easy to do. And then, of course, you know where to find the show on social media. You see it right there, Twitter, Instagram, at Husker Army Pod. You know where to find Kenny. He's at Husker Noop 1911. And he is not shy about wanting all that smoke. So bring it, especially when we get closer to the beginning of the season. I love watching Kenny interact when the season gets closer. Oh, man. It's damn near a work of art. It just is. All right, everybody. This has been an awesome episode. I can't thank Willie enough for joining us. I'm sure we're going to have you back on again at some point. That's for damn sure. We'll get you on to help us recap a game one of these times. That'll be some fun.
Love that.
All right. So
we'll
go ahead and shut her down now, guys. You know where to find the show. Kenny, myself, Willie, you know where to find the merch. You know the YouTube info. At this point, there's one last thing to do. Husker Nation, Husker Army, at ease. You are all dismissed.
A Herd at Sports Network production.